a new collaboration, movable death boxes, and some changes to Miramar. All this and more as we dive into the Update 37.2 patch report. First up, the desert's about to heat up again with a visit from the iconic artist G-Dragon. You'll be able to find an emote stage on the starting island. Special G-Dragon map decor such as a decked-out gas station and fan room, and other themed visuals such as planes, blue chip towers, and care packages. And be sure to head over to the G-Dragon truck stop to immerse yourself in the recreated Power music video set. Next up, we're improving the way you interact with some of the objects around the map. You'll now be able to reposition death boxes to get them to a safer location before looting, or use them to lure unsuspecting loot goblins to their demise. Doors can now be opened inward as well as outward, and all those gas tanks you've been wanting to shoot for years will now explode when you do so, leaving behind a large cloud of smoke to cover your movements. More details on where you can see these changes in the patch notes. And speaking of Miramar, the Minas Generalis area has gotten an overhaul this update as well. We've streamlined building layouts for more efficient looting, added more item spawn locations, simplified the terrain and structures, and balanced out the engagements between high and low ground in the area. There's also a new Survivor Pass, the return of Survivors Left Behind and Hungers Left Behind, some updates to Team Deathmatch and Intense Battle Royale, and more. So check out the patch notes for full details. Update 37.2 is here, so drop into Miramar, stack those death boxes high, and kick back with some G-Dragon hits. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
Have you ever imagined creating your own PUBG game mode? Well, now with UGC Alpha, that imagination becomes real. All Plus users can create UGC Alpha sessions. Getting started is simple. Just go to Custom Match, UGC Alpha tab, then create your own session or join a friend's. By default, only the host can edit the mode, but editing permission can be granted to participants through settings. With UGC Alpha, you can place props, build custom maps, and set your own game rules. Anyone can join and play, up to 100 players per session. Want a simple but challenging parkour mode? Or maybe a chaotic deathmatch? You make the rules. You can save your creations anytime, or load them up later to keep building, even if it's not your mode. If you find a fun session while playing, just hit Save As and keep a copy for yourself. Need a head start? Try one of the official sample modes provided in-game. In the next video, we'll dive into object placement, movement controls, and how to bring your map to life. You can use the standard WASD keys to walk around. Double-tap the spacebar to switch to flying mode. Tap C to descend and space again to go up. Hit B to enter build mode. Now you can start placing props and devices anywhere on the map. To open the full editor, press P to launch the Edit Manager. Here, you'll see all available props, from walls and stairs to full buildings. Click any object, then press 0 to 9 to assign it to a quick slot. You can now press that key to place the object instantly. Need to fine-tune? Use E and R to rotate or scale. Use F and G to adjust distance. Press X to lock to axes, and Y to ignore collision. Want to test gravity? Just hit T to toggle gravity on your object. You can also copy, delete, or multi-select with simple mouse clicks and hotkeys. Next up, we'll show you how to set the rules of your game. Rounds, respawns, teams, you control it all. Let's dive into the rules setting. Press P to open the Edit Manager, then switch to the Rule Set tab. Here, you can fully customize your game logic. Set the number of rounds. Choose a score limit or time limit to end each round. Define how many teams play, anywhere from 2 to 100. Set team size, 1 to 10 players per team. Enable or disable respawn, and set its cooldown timer. Add invincibility after respawn for smoother gameplay. By enabling fill test players, you can spawn dummy bots to test whether your custom mode is functioning properly. If you'd like to play a solo game instead of a team match, simply adjust the team count and team size settings in the rule setting menu. For example, if you want a 100-player free-for-all solo match, set team count to 100 and team size to 1. Next up, we'll introduce the devices. Let's dive into the device setting. Devices are the logic blocks of your custom mode. They make things spawn, trigger, score, teleport, explode, and way more. Let's start with the core 4. The following 4 devices are essential for creating a basic game mode. Player spawn device controls where players appear. Player event device reacts to kills, survival, or any player action. Score manager device gives or removes score based on events. Round event device resets scores at the start of a new round. There are a variety of devices you can use, like triggering a red zone or setting background music. Feel free to get creative and use them however you like to build a fun and exciting mode. Trigger is when a device sends a signal to another device to activate it. For example, if you configure an enemy kill event in the player event device and connect it to the score manager device via the trigger tab, the player's score will increase when they get a kill. On the other hand, action is when a device receives a signal from another device to activate itself. If you set the player event device as the action target of a change score in the score manager device, the change score will be triggered by the signal sent from the player event device. Coming up next, we'll build a sample mode from start to finish so you can see how it all fits together.
Still alive. Just eviscerate the team just like that. They have taken the game.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
So here it is, one final time for the PUBG Players Tour Players Cup. It is Gibson and Chunks bringing you all the action for what will be the final time working together this year. Chunks, it's been a long road. It's been a fun road. There's been highs. There's been lows. But one thing's for sure, it's going to end today.
It certainly has been a fun, 6-7 months now? It's been going on for a while, but this is what it's all been leading up to, isn't it? This is the final Players Cup, the final day of the Players Cup for teams to qualify through to the next stage and ultimately compete in that East versus West. They still have to go through one more layer of qualification to get there, but this is the final opportunity if you're a team that hasn't already made it. Now, let's go into the format first of all, refresh everyone on how teams got here. So we had teams playing through those scrims during the week. We are now here in the Players Cup. Then they're going to move over to the Last Chance Masters to potentially play against those EMEA teams that are at the cream of the crop. So a lot on the line, and of course a prize pool to go with it.
Yeah, the prize pool, obviously, I think over the course of the year was, 128k for 149 or 128k for both regions, the EMEA and North America, or the Americas. So it's a lot of money. The format, of course, we are on day 2. It is Miramar, Tego, Rondo, and Erangel. 4 quick maps. It is basically a sprint. And then it is over, done, and dusted. Where we will have 4 teams joining the other qualified 12 trying to make it through into the final Masters of the Year. That prize pool, these cups, they do have a prize pool of their own. As you can see, it is $1,000 every single night. But the important thing to remember about that $1,000 chunks is this is just, in essence, a qualifier. And this qualifier has happened multiple times this year. So all those $1,000 add up.
It certainly is a big prize pool if you take it into the entire tour, and obviously the top 4 teams are going to be the ones that qualify. Now you can see those little gold marks next to a couple of the teams' names. That means that they have already qualified, which means that it moves that qualification spot down a bit, which means as it currently stands, qualification goes all the way down to 7th place. So Mula Systematica, as it currently stands, would qualify even though they wouldn't get a chunk of that prize pool. So that is what these teams are currently playing for. A lot on the line, and just look how close it is up at the top. Dots are a team that have really impressed me this week so far, holding firm in 3rd place, not too far ahead of Team Casito, but keeping up at the top end of things. Only 1 point difference between 55 and Team Mirror.
Yeah, it's getting very close up there. And I think the big thing to point out as well, as you said, it all the way down to 7th qualifies. Now, I know that PUBG math isn't just as simple as A minus B equals C. You have to consider all the other teams that are playing in the lobby every single game too. But a win in game number 1 for any team in this lobby would essentially, in theory, put them into real chance of qualifying through to that final LCQ of the year. Looking at the teams that have made it there already, I think you all know the faces. The ones you might not be familiar with at home would be MRIA, which are Mission Ready International Alliance. If they had the Luminosity logo, which I think a lot of you would know the roster a lot better, but obviously they no longer fly that flag. But the other big surprise has to be Fate Chunks. What a weekend they had last week.
Yeah, it was really impressive. It was actually their first time competing in the Players Tour, and to be able to qualify was really impressive. Of course, Bestia, Mirror, potentially dangerous. We were expecting them to be up at the top end of things, so it's not too surprising, but Fate are going to be the ones that kind of go in without any real pressure. Sometimes if you're a top team, there is that element of pressure where we have to live up to expectations. I don't think Fate have that, so it'll be really exciting to watch when we get to that next round to see whether they're able to keep up that performance.
Remember that LCQ, 8 teams, the top 8, will go on to compete against the top 8 teams from EMEA to find out who the best TPP team in the Western world is. Yes, there's also PUBG Players Tour events happening inside of Asia, but you can't really have that matchup with them of it being online because the ping would be too much of an issue. But Chunks, as we get ready to jump into the very first game of the night, we're going to Miramar. And if you ask the player to draw a flight path that they think would be fair, this one's not too far away from what a player would draw.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get pretty much anywhere on the map, even if it's somewhere that's a bit of a stretch. You're going to be able to land for vehicles. You're going to go to your alt drops. And Gibson, I'm a bit upset about this, because what have I been saying since the beginning of the tour? I just want to cast an island circle. I've never had those eastern islands. And it looks like in the Players Tour, it's not going to happen for me.
I've had them 4 times in official games.
Yeah, you just got to rub it in.
Yeah, twice with Mark and twice inside the Americas, and every single time it's chaos. The first time I had it was a PEC qualifier before emergency pickups were a thing. So you could just imagine how hectic of a circle that was when teams couldn't even pick up over. But Chunks, I'm sorry to let you know, you're not going to get that circle. But what I can give you is a circle to the north and a hot drop inside of Los Leones.
Yeah, that circle's going to be an interesting one. A lot of verticality to take into account. Mirror going to be dead center, but they are a team, again, that do like to play kind of aggressive in phase one. So we'll see how they react to this circle. Let's focus in on the hot drop, though. As I'll let you explain your draw in a second.
Yeah, so basically, everyone here, I've seen it in chat, they love my drawings. So basically what we're saying is teams like AKA and Mula Systematica, they're going to rotate likely all the way up Valle del Mar, work their way in through El Pozo, maybe a little bit further north by Crater Fields. The reason why teams do that rotate is A, it's low traffic, and B, with the flight path we had, you know that eastern side is going to be significantly, the western side is going to be significantly lower traffic compared to the west. Another thing worth pointing out, Chunks, is that teams up in the northwest, now, I don't think 4HP, because they're close enough to the border, they don't have to worry about it. But as we look further up to Mijolos, they're likely going to rotate extremely north as well, and through Oasis or La Cabrera, because what you want to do is avoid traffic getting into the circle.
Yeah, definitely, especially in a zone like this where there's so many choke points on those vehicle rotations. I think that's something you have to take into account whenever we're on Miramar. You tend to find a lot of roads where you kind of go through a valley where there's hills either side where teams are able to post up. I think that this zone is really going to be the prime example of that. So teams are really going to have to be careful with their rotation. We focused in on the hot drop. It doesn't look like it is going to kick off, but I do want to hop on board with 55 Esports because they're currently a team in the top position alongside Team Mirror, who they are right next to physically on the mat right now. Both of these teams have really good priority inside this circle, but if I'm 55, I'm getting out of San Martin, because if you're dead center of a circle, you do not want to be in a city, because a lot of teams are going to close in around you, and it's going to make it very difficult to rotate out.
Yeah, that's why Oranzir is already extended out. You know, he's up, he's getting loot, he's scouting as well. He'll feed his team inside the traffic. I couldn't agree with you more about avoiding San Martin for now. But I think it is worth talking about 55 a little bit as we watch Tony get very close to Kerak. What I want to say about it is, this is a team who at the start of the year, I should say org. I'm going to use the word org because there's a difference between the team and the org. The org performed very well at the start of the year. They were a regional partner team. Didn't do very well in PAS. Didn't do great in the first PUBG Players Tour of the year either. What did they do? They picked up the core of the Typhon roster, who were performing really well inside the PUBG Players Tour. I think the very first PUBG Players Tour, they were one of the more dominant teams. You think about some of the wins that they had. Then they made another individual change at the end of the EWC quals. And then finally, Chunks, because of the decision for Toyo to no longer play alongside Pipa, they've picked up Pipa. And you cannot underestimate the experience that somebody like Pipa and the ability that someone like Pipa is going to bring to this roster.
Yeah, and we've certainly seen that reflected in their performance. Obviously tied for first place right now. Really, really strong roster, and I just hope that they're able to make something out of this game. As you see them looking over towards potentially dangerous, they see the vehicles rotating, they're taking those pot shots, but I'm not sure how aware they actually, like Tony, like Glock, getting really close up. Now, they did see Glock, I believe it was, pulling up in the vehicle, so they do know there is at least one player around, but Tony could really sneak up and cause problems for them.
Yeah, Chunks, you know what else is a problem? Look at Kerak's ammo.
He's got an M4. He'll be fine.
Yeah, by the way, might need you to talk for a few seconds because I may have taken a drink of water while you were speaking, and it may have went down the wrong way.
Not a problem.
So,
look,
while
at least you're not trolling
quietly.
me, intentionally restarting your router tonight, like yesterday. Victor, he's in a real difficult position as we zone in on him. Juventus are a team that needed to step things up a little bit after their performance yesterday, but that's not going to be the case for them. Zello going to be able to find himself the knock, follows it up with the flush as well. So Kolos going to be the first team to get a kill on the board. There is one team that are playing as a three-man tonight, which is why we've only got 62 teams in the lobby, so going to be difficult for them.
62 teams, hell yeah. I'm down for that.
62 players, sorry. Although I would love to see that. There's the mirror that we're used to seeing. Phase 1 kill, early on the board. That's what we expect off them on Miramar.
Yeah, they've won the first map here yesterday. I think it would only be telling if they win the last ever Miramar in these PUBG Players Cups, because, look, they've been... Right, how do I put this the right way? Inside of the Players Cups, they've been the best team all year round. I think you look at some of the Masters performances, and I think the tape tells itself when you consider the fact they had to play last week to qualify through to the LCQs. I think, you know, at the start of the year, they struggled a little bit with the likes of Falcons coming into the lobby and, you know, Liquid, but they picked it up. Obviously, PAS, they've put in an incredibly good performance, and they're hoping to be qualifying for international gameplay, as well as finding a way through to play against EMEA. But after just witnessing Mira get a kill, aka a team that's right on the bubble, they're looking towards Mula Systematica, and having popped the tire chunks, they couldn't convert that tire pop into a kill and a point on the board.
And I can't help but think part of that is because Coyote was so focused on trying to get back in his vehicle after it rolled down the hill. He wasn't able to get the angle onto those players posted up over at the vehicle. But Mula Systematica are going to be thankful of it. They have moved away. They do need to be careful because it looks like that Falcon is close to their west. He's closing in, but ultimately they're focused on their rotation. They're going to keep growing that distance. I don't think they're too worried about this final AKA players. JMS tries to go for a long-range spray onto Tung Tung Sahor, who had a Lynx in the back of the vehicle so early on in the game.
Yeah, that Lynx is going to hit like a truck. You know, as we know, it's really useful against the BRDMs. If you get in that situation, it's essentially a one-shot knock on most people inside the game. I know that sometimes if you don't quite hit the chest in the middle with the level 2 vest, it might not get the knock if you hit an arm shot, but I think that they'll definitely look to make that work, particularly with the fact that they've lost a player early. So losing a player but picking up a Lynx, yes, it's not a like for like, but it'll help. And maybe this point that they're about to pick up right now will help Chunks. JMS dead to rights.
Kaka able to get the knock, follows it up with the flush, but gets fire returned onto him by Delirious and RNZ. So will get over to safety for the time being, but of course has to pop that heal. There is going to be some extra loot down on the body, so even if Tung Tung's Horde did make an early rotate, they should be able to grab it in a little bit. And remember, we are playing on that live patch as well, so just because there's a loot box down the hill doesn't mean it can't be moved.
That's 100% true, as we see that Lynx ring out in earnest. Loki finding a head. That's overkill. Ooh. Loki, you don't need to get a headshot, but now you need to be very conservative. You only got 5 rounds left for that Lynx, so you got to make sure to pick every shot. And Chunks, as you can see, the gun barrel is sticking up across the window, and that is tantalizingly close, but unfortunately, this is not the film wanted. You can't bend your bullets around doors and through windows, so there's no way to confirm out that knock or get a secondary knock on the back of it. But Rack 4, no kills on the board. Delirious, he's got full information on Tung Tung Sahur, but unfortunately for him, Chunks, the rest of the team, a lot further towards the northwest.
Well, the City Massacres down on the southwest, taking some shots over towards Dots, a team that have had a really strong performance yesterday. Actually stopped and changed stream earlier to ask him how he was doing, and they were very much of the opinion that, yeah, we just need to play our normal game. Sure, we're in a good position, but let's not get overconfident. We need a strong performance today. We can't let our foot off the gas because, sure, we're tied at the top end of things pretty much, but we can't be relying on other teams to secure our place in the top 4 of the lobby, or I guess with the other teams that have already qualified into the top 7 potentially.
Oh, you're bang on. You don't want any teams looking to do favors for you. You want to make the job easy as possible and get it done yourself. A lot of these teams are in that position. I think Necro almost hitting Glock there. I think the bullet just about went through the window and hit the roof of the inside of the Murado. But yeah, I'm looking at teams that can get it done themselves. Chunks, every single team in this lobby is still in with a chance of qualifying for the top 4 because of how good the top 2 or 3 teams have been, and because the top 2 or 3 teams have already qualified through to the LCQs. But what does that mean? That means if you're Silent Fury, who we're watching right now, you know, that means if you are the likes of OMG, or even if you're Juventus de Bios, a win in the first game, you know, what's an average win? Like 18 points? It seems like 18 to 20 points. That rockets you so far up the leaderboard that it would even hurt.
Certainly does. By the way, I do want to point out that bolt shot from Digod, I think that was onto a vehicle based on where the player was knocked. Nix tries to get some shots off onto a vehicle of Team Mirror, but Fana looks like he's been able to get into the compound early enough. They do need to be careful because Team Razav are close on the west. It looks like they're going to commit to this crash as well. They have hopped out of the vehicle, so not making it a full send, but they are close. And they could definitely get more players over here to try and support and retake this compound.
Team Razor, Fixen's got Kevzin in his sights, but Beleda speed spots out Fixen. A quick 1-2 punch will find that knock on Mira. Question now for Razor is how aggressive they want to be. Well, the answer is aggressive as they possibly can. Rez is going to be pulled off, but Pana is going to bail. Now, there's two reasons why Pana's bailed off that. One, realizing that in TPP, the players in the compound have the advantage. They'll be able to see his approach with that nade not landing correctly. And second of all, Chunks, he knows that if he doesn't win that fight and he falls, he's dead to rights. The rest of his team are way too far away that had he fallen, he was down and out.
I think you need to take into account as well, this early on in the game, how they know how many players are actually in there. Sure, they've only seen 2, but for all they know, Mirror, they sent 2 vehicles up. There could have been 2 players in each of those. As of right now, Haven, LFP are really far off to the southwest, so it is down to just the 2-man to try and defend, and it doesn't look like Mirror are in a position to actually provide support. It looks like they do want to play at long range. Just fakes in, tries to go for a close range spray, gets his helmet taken off, will be able to find the knock in return onto Kevin's though, but he's now down to low HP, and the rest of Razab are not showing any signs of slowing down.
No helmet either. Keep that in mind as now Fana will look to do a quick double tap of himself, but Shane Doe will steal that kill away as the dots are the benefactors of that knock from Team Mira. The rest of Razab, at least Beleda, is going to fall back, leaving Pana not too far away. But if Team Mira are aware and paying attention, which you know they are, they'll know that there's still another player not too far away. LFP, he's got one, maybe a second. Blood's going to run to the Murado, but I'm sorry, my friend. He is above you. The suppressed fire completely catching them by surprise. C de Carlos down and out. You've lost Bloods as well. Jumentos de Bayo have only got Brandy's left standing. So Mira, after what could have been a disaster just a few moments ago, have got 2 kills on the board. Yes, they got a kill stolen away by Dots, but look at that for a circle shift. Fana and Faxon will be able to bail now and move into the circle, and should be able to do so without running into too much trouble.
This is really smart from Team Mirror, playing this split, and they were confident in doing so, so they've now got a good entrance into the zone. Haven already getting in there, but he will have to try and defend, because it looks like Mula Systematicas might go for the same position. The rest of the squad now start to make their run, and honestly, with San Martin still in, I do wonder for these southern teams whether that is something they're going to be considering. Haven, we knew he'd have to try and defend, wasn't expecting him to be in such an out-in-the-open position. He's got the Panzer in hand. We'll need to try and find it onto the vehicle to make anything happen, but for the time being, things slow down until that nade from Zig finds the knock. The rest of Mirror close in, but the BZ nade should be enough to find the flush.
There's a race against time now, because you want to get this fight won if you're either of these teams and get it done quick, because there's traffic that'll come this way. Now, for Team Mira, if you lose, you know, you've lost your player now, you've lost Haven, there's no real reasonable way you're going to get him back. None of the recall ships are in a good position. And this is big, Chunks. As you said, another crash lands in and Fixen almost falls.
Fana down to low HP, but this is really good because LFP, he's up the hill. He was trying to support, but now he's being peppered from long range. He's not going to be able to do all too much, but Mixtalled can, as the final player for his team, finds himself the knock, follows it with the flush, but doesn't have time to pop the heal. Fakes in there to finish off the job, but now it's a 1 versus 4 in this fight. Mula Systematicas being very systematic in their approach to this, surrounding the player, knowing that he's isolated. Flashbang will come out, but Fakes ends up catching himself, uses the third person to look around, and for the time being, at least, Mula Systematicas have slowed down, but LFP is out in the open. He's being peppered from afar. He can't provide much support from here.
No, the only support LFP is doing right now is scouting. He cannot get to this compound safely without wrapping all the way out to the edge of the circle and coming back down. So at this point in time, you're essentially a solo. He is going to go for that wide wrap that I expected him to make to maybe help him out, his teammate out just a little bit, but you gotta be quick. because this noise is going to draw the attention of the rest of Mula Systematica, a team that are in 7th place right now, currently in a qualification spot, Chunks. But things can change in a game of PUBG in the blink of an eye. Oh, OMG, that is not the best way to breach a compound. And Gabri, okay, Gabri, you normally hit those, but I'll let you off the mark this time. But I don't think OMG are going to let him away.
I don't think he could find the line of sight with the fence in the way, so he waited for that player to open up a little bit further, and in the end, the Panzer's just a little bit short, but there's another one ready in the hands of Nightavon. Glock plays entry, going through the doorway, getting ready to sweep. Spots out one, but hasn't been able to find him. Gabri, though, he finds one. Panzer goes in, but it's just a little bit short. Nightavon gets the knock, follows it up with the second, almost finds the third as well. 2 players left now from PD. Gabri, the only one in the compound, as Tony tries to close in. Nightavon has fallen. Takamura will find the flush onto him as the final player from OMG. No util being used in this push from potentially dangerous, but why would they? Because they've got the read. It might have been a mistake, though. They find the hip fire, but Takamura's there to spin around.
Oh my.
And he finds another one as well. OMG living up to their name, because what was that play? An amazing defense from them.
I wonder if the new layout of the gas station caught some of those players by surprise as well. Remember, we are currently on the live patch, so it is looking a little bit different here on Miramar than it might normally do. Mira still in that battle with Mula Systematica, who've decided they're going to get out of dodge before Team Mira can. Mira do have the bike and do have a coupe that they can use to work in, but turning her attention back towards water treatment, Silent Fury. 1 kill on the board and 4 happy men's not too far away. 1 knock has been garnered. They're looking to gather a couple more in Chunks. Do you see that just off towards the left of Bad Boys POV? Dots are in a huge fight with Rezav.
Yeah, they've just crashed into Rezav, basically finished off all the remaining players in that position. I think Rezav only now with 1 left up, and he's nowhere to be found. Now, you've got to bear in mind, for whichever team makes it out of here at water treatment, there is a res beacon nearby, but it's going to be a high-risk play. It's going to be someone like Kira who would have to get in there with that jammer pack to bring their player back in. Kira trying to watch the cross, but he's just not able to. There's all of those players from the opposing team holding down the angles for HP, now trying to group back up.
Giancarlo will manage to get back alongside the Kira. Nazira out in the open, somehow not falling at the first time of asking. Now, Humble and Good and Bad Boy will need to work together. You know that Nazira is just on the other side of that wall, but the problem is they don't have any explosive utility. No mollies, no nades, so they cannot toss utility over there, and taking the peak when you're out in the open is just a little bit too much of a risk. And here comes the 9mm Maniac. Valiant just coming into your screen, just a little bit to the northwest. He unleashes a volley of ammo inside towards Giancarlo. And yet, is it any surprise to spot out the weapon of choice as the VSS?
Absolutely not. We saw so many teams have such strong performances with it lately. So now it's just a question of seeing if anyone else is able to make something happen. Valiate has to be the player to watch when it comes to VSS. He was an early adopter. He's made it count. With this circle, things are looking good for Dots. They will have themselves a bridge line to work out of, but really to hold it, they're going to have to try and deal with 4 HP first.
Yeah, Dots, all 4 players on the northern side of the circle, a bit of a 1-2-1 split, as Pana will fall at the hands of Zyko, as Rezav will now lose their final remaining player. Looks like Mula and Mira are back at it once more. 3 players up. Mira Sphex and focusing a little bit further away, looking in towards, I believe that is Silent Fury. Sorry, not Silent Fury that he's looking at a little bit further away, but they need to be careful, Chunks, because Mula Systematica are on their way. They get one, and we have seen Fana in a position like this before, but let's see if Fixon can answer the call. Stun grenade tossed on up, peeks over, does enough damage to Zig, but I think he thought he had the knock, but he didn't quite get it. He'll get wiped out by Sonics. Chunks, were all guilty of that. You spray, you assume that you've gotten the knock, you go to focus on the next target, but unfortunately for him, the damage landed was just not enough.
That was rough there for Team Mirror. Obviously, the team that they just managed to get out of that compound with, both squads opting to make the same rotate. But look at this from Karak right now. He's got the BRDM. He's struggling to get it up the hill. It's not quite got the torque that he's looking for, but should be able to make this rotation. And I gotta say, in terms of teams that have really adopted the BRDM, I think 55 have to be up there as Pippa gets himself one knock. RNZ finds a second. They're trying to finish off one of those AKA players now who's caught out in the vehicle rotating, and he's just about managed to get to the ridge.
Yeah, 55, a team that like to play around the edge. So as you said, the BRDM comes in pretty handy. Nanu here from AKA rotating his way on in, but he's going to get caught out by Zyko as the VSS will sing out and Valiant will confirm out that kill. Dots now getting very, very close to Rack 4, who have built, in essence, a fort on the edge of the circle. A couple of Broncos, a couple of Doritos chunks, you know, a few deployable shields. Just creating cover somewhere where cover does not naturally exist.
Nazira. Cover won't help SF if he's able to land those nades. Nice damage found. He cancels the med a little bit early by the looks of things. Nearly gets punished for it. Kira going to be closing in. That jammer pack could be fruitful right now. So could cause him to play inside the blue, but he is going to save it a little bit longer as Silent Fury will concede a knock. It's Angel who gets traded out in return. As Shementos fall, it was 55 who managed to pick up the kill on that. Saitama looking over towards Team Casito now, who were the team that were attempting to crash onto Silent Fury, so maybe he just holds off for a second, hopes that SF gets slowed down, and then that shack becomes a little bit more playable, but John Carlo opens up onto Humble and Good. It's stolen away by Loki.
Yeah, OMG. Couple of kills on the board already. 3 of them for one of the players who is no longer alive, being in Takamura, who was, I'm going to say it, Takamura, phenomenal last week as a solo player. A lot of his team's point tally came off his back. Tung Tung Sahura will get a kill on the bad boy as his misery is ended in this game. He'll get wiped out just by the edge of water treatment as Nazira begins moving in.
Oh,
yep, Delores. Hold up. Is that 55s? No, 55 still have
a different
theirs.
one. That's Rack 4. 55 have
Yeah.
theirs. I think it's Karak that's got it right now. He's all the way off to the west. So yeah, that is a rough one for Baddie. But, I mean, Dots, they've still got 3 players left up. And it looks like Valiate still making something happen as the Panzer from Zyko pops off and takes down Rack 4, making their way into the top 8, making the top 7 as Satan falls. What an impressive Panzer.
Yeah, they snuck on up, but it was a case of, is that a Panzer, or was he just happy to see him? Well, I'm sorry to tell you the answer. It was a Panzer. He's able to get that knock and wipe out all of the members of Rack 4. And, well, being honest, that is just that game is a microcosm of how it's been for Rack 4 all week long. It's not gone great for them. They get a BRDM, they get a good position, and of course they get wiped out by the Panzer. Blue call systems are going to get removed, but that doesn't really matter as the nade's tossed over to Kerak. He'll hop back inside the BRDM as the shrapnel will be blocked off by what is in essence a mini tank. And, well, his vehicle explodes. The nade does enough damage, and Zyko says, I have a BRDM that's broken for cover. Kerak, your BRDM, it wasn't broken, and that didn't work out very well for you, did it now? As Baddie will now get knocked. Dots back up to a 3.
Wow.
Oh, there's a replay. That was a great shot.
Yeah, it really was. I think Dots are one of those teams that, you know, they've really stepped up to the meta. They're carrying the 9mm. They're using the util well, loading up the trunks with panzers, with nades, everything they can. And that's how they've managed to get themselves 10 kills so far. But now with only 2 players left up and 55 up ahead of them, they're going to try and defend this cross. But look at the ammo on Shane, though. He's got 0 bullets in reserve, only 6 in his MK. Really going to rely on this nade as he now is completely out of ammo. It's all onto the molly. No, it's all onto Valiate as he throws in the nade, strong arms it, and now Shane Doe is going to be more than happy with picking up all the loot he needed.
105.56 extra, 13 kills for the Dots as explosive utility is reigning supreme. It was a Panzer that wiped out Rack 4, and then it was a nade that did for Silent Fury. Another team is going to fall, and all of a sudden, it's a 2v2v1. All of these teams could do with a win. A win for Dots would secure them into the next round. A win for Mula Systematica will rocket them up the leaderboard. But more importantly, Chunks, a win for Tung Tung Sahur here would put them in a great spot. But KX is biding his time. The solo player wants full information. There could be 3 points or no points up for grabs here if he gets this timing right.
This is really good from KX right now. He waited. He's seen that deployable shield's being used. That means Necro is now completely exposed. If only he lands the shots, then he'd be able to find the kill. But in the end, it's Valiate with the VSS who steals one away. Necro finds the shots under the vehicle as he tries to find the head of Shane Doe. It's not to be. The Org Spray connects. And that is Dots getting themselves a 15-kill chicken dinner. Crossing the T's, dotting the I's, confirming their place in the next round. A little bit more to go just to make sure that they're safe, but honestly, with a performance like that, you got to put them up there in qualification now.
They're already in the top 4, and then 25 more points is just going to give them a lion's share of the tally. They're going to be in a brilliant spot now going into the final 3 games. A couple of teams didn't quite have the impact on the lobby that you expect. Mir, of course, on Miramar not coming in clutch as they used to. I think OMG, they did get a couple of points, which will help them climb the leaderboard just a little bit. Remember, the cutoff point is not as high as it could be at this point in time. But all I can tell you is things are heating up here inside of the PUBG Players Cup. This is the last 3 maps of the year inside the Players Cup before we jump into the final LCQs and Masters. This is the last chance these teams are going to have to get a chance to battle it out against the best of the Americas and the best of EMEA.
Well, I can tell you something. If you're in this lobby, you better be filling your trunk up with Panzers because we have seen them used to great effect in that game. Dots obviously stealing the show right there. Getting themselves that Panzer, I guess, squad wipe, followed up with the nade kills from Valiate. Really, really impressive performance. And just look at the gap between them and second place. Bearing in mind, Tung Tung Sahur, they had a really good game as well. 11 kills on the board. But let's take a look at the overall leaderboard and see exactly how that has affected the standings.
Yeah, look at that. Dots on 64, 55 on 46. The gap to Mir, they were level on points going into the game. Now there's only 1 point between them. After that game, Tung Tung Sahur joined the top 4 now. They're currently in a qualification place, but remember, those spots are on a knife edge, as our team at K0. Mula Systematica still in a qualification. No, never mind. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, Mula Systematica are just about in a placement position with a 7-point gap over Team Rezav, which can change in the blink of an eye. But Chunks, I reckon we throw it into a very quick break. When we come back, we'll be here inside of Tego. We'll be back in a bit.
What I love about these events, like the PUBG Hot Drop 2025 that we just had, is simply just meeting all of these amazing people.
PUBG for putting on this amazing event. It's been so much fun. It's been so great getting to chat to the devs, getting to see everyone playing games and having so much fun. Thanks to all the team that's put it together.
It's great to be here. I can only say to other PUBG players, come here next year.
still alive. Not quite. Just eviscerate the team just like that. They have taken the game.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
What I would do for you. What I would do for you. What I would do for you. What I would do for you.
It is Tago time, and we are here with game number 2. Dots putting up an insane performance in game number 1, all but confirming their spot in that next stage and ultimately in the top 4. I think the question now is, can they hold on to first place, get themselves the lion's share of that prize pool, or could we maybe see another team make a big jump in the same way that Tung Tung Sahur did, also able to pick up a lot of points in our first game?
Yeah, they're now inside the top 4. They've got placement in their grasps, but it is up to them to get the job done. Remember, PUBG is not a game where it is a 1 versus 1 with 5 players in each team. PUBG is a game where there is 15 other teams in the lobby who all want the exact same goal. Everything that happens leads to the butterfly effect. You move wrong once, it impacts every other team inside the lobby. So, as I like to say, it may be in your own hands, but there's a lot of other hands inside that lobby trying to wrestle it away. Dots, though, Chunks, huge game from them. Big point tally. They got themselves 25 points on the board. And with a circle like this, too, they've got really good prio getting in. But I guess it's time for a Gibson drawing. Getting into the circles is an interesting one. Do they elect to go wide and go north if they find any pickup? Do they elect to try to get up and drop off somewhere up and around the recall system? Or do they elect to just go certain phrase that rhymes with wall to the wall and just drive right up through the middle?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot of options here. What I would say is, again, Players Tour circles have been wacky. It would not surprise me if this thing either hard shifts over to the east or hard shifts up to the northwest, where there's a lot of unplayable terrain. But right now, we'll hop on board with Team Mirror, because they have a player just not far from them that they're currently trying to clear out, throwing in the flashbangs, clearing out the building, but they do not realize that this player has already made a move, so they're going to quickly turn their attention now, knowing that the building is free, and probably be checking every single rock between them and the water.
Not saying that Command X is a troll, but he needs to live his best troll life now and hide under that bridge for just a little while longer. But look, Mira are smart. They know there's only one place he could have gone to. He doesn't have a car. He has to be down and around the bridge, or by the woods. I think they have now spotted him out up by the vehicle. So will he be able to get a knock? The first throngs of war will ring out as gunfire is sent his way. But Command X has got to stay alive. Just stay alive long enough for your teammates to put enough pressure in to get you out of dodge. This is, you know what? I think this is really good for Silent Fury. You could have lost the player early. Instead, you've managed to keep him alive. He's been evasive enough. You get in the pony. You get on out of there.
Yeah, really smart play. Even the position that he was holding there on the bridge, just making sure that he wasn't visible from either angle is really good to see. We'll be able to get away over to safety as Night of On. Maybe not so safe in this position, holding onto the rock with DTMF close by. And not forgetting as well, there's going to be another squad on the other end of the city. So a lot of teams over here. And obviously Team Razor very close to that qualification spot as it stands.
Yeah, remember DTMF will be playing today as a 3. So Ballet will look to try to get a bolty banger, but he's not going to hit it. But think for Debbie Terrar Mass Photos. They need a monumental day to qualify. They've only got 3 players available today. One of the players was unavailable, so they have to log in as a 3 for the rest of the tournament. So at this point, Chunks, odds are not looking good. Like if you were trying to like pick odds, and I wouldn't even give you a guess to what I would say they're at, but realistically, they're playing for fun tonight. Just have fun, relax, see how it goes. If things go well, they go well. If they don't, you kind of say, well, we did our best. But all in all, just enjoy it. Have fun. Not often you get to play on the main channel.
I couldn't agree more. Get yourself a BRDM, get yourself some C4s, have some fun with it, because we love to see that. We haven't seen many C4s recently, I don't think. Like, I think the last time we really saw them used to great effect was when Al-Qudsi were in the lobby. That's the one that really springs to mind, with Roth just sending it into the compound. That's definitely one of the highlights of the tour so far. But right now, we'll hop on board with Dots. They're the winners of our previous game. It looks like they've got Glock up in the air. He's spotted out the vehicle, so Nightavon is going to be giving chase. The trees may cause a problem for Glock, but he's just about dodging them, just trying to get a line of sight on where this player is. But right now, it looks like Dots, they are fully committed onto this chase as Badilil swings back towards his team. Should be able to get over to relative safety, but the concern with this area of the map is the fact that that northern area where PD are coming through, that's the high ground.
Yeah, it's so dangerous to fly in here too, but I think the PD, they've got Tony not too far away. He is creeping up towards Shane Doe, winner, of course, of the first map of the night. At one point, things were looking bad when you consider they had sustained knocks. They had BRDMs coming their way. They survived 2 BRDMs and a run out of ammo, and they still managed to get the win. But Tony, not quite getting the angle that he wanted. He's going to go for a repeat on the other side. This is a tough... Buxan Sa, its topology, the way it's laid out, it's really hard to find knocks on players inside the compound from external spots, even though you technically have the high ground. So don't expect Tony to go for a knock onto any of these players or reveal his position unless he's got someone dead to rights in the open and he knows he can get an instant flush off the back of it, because the rest of PD are a lot further away to the north.
Yeah, this is one of those spots where it's really hard to have a clean fight. Trust me, I played with Michael enough, and he always likes hot dropping there, and I'm always the first one to go down because it is brutal. There are so many sight lines that you have to try and cover. You really have to take things methodically. Can't just send it in. And as I say this, I'm taking notes for the next time I play.
Are you the person Michael calls to carry him whenever I'm not available?
Carry is a strong word.
Well,
the first time we played together, we dropped in Palace, and he res me, like, using the recall system, I think, 4 times in a row.
So he carried you then, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, even if I didn't carry him based on kills, when he was knocked, I did pick him up and carry him to safety, so I am holding on to the fact that I carried Michael. And you cannot tell me I'm wrong, because on a technicality, I am right. I'll tell you what's not a technicality. That's the fact that Mira are now moving in onto Silent Fury, a team that need points on the board. They're going to rock on up on the first building. All 4 players alive on the compound crash, which is exactly what you want. Thing is, just inside the polytunnels, not too far away, are 3 angry Silent Fury players. And then Command X, who has been chased by Mira since the very first minute of the map, is looking at them on the other side, and he's going to get a headshot.
One word, though. It's Panzerfaust. As the nade lands through, Command X will finally fall to Team Mirror after what seems like a long chase, finally coming to a conclusion. But the way that Team Mirror are playing, they are looking up to the north. It's almost like they expect the rest of the squad to be up there. They are not expecting them to be over in these tents down to the south. Now, the smoke is there, so they're definitely playing as if they know someone could be there. But Haven's position right now is going to be really vulnerable to this Panzer if Humble decides to peek out. And, well, if they go into this building, it's going to be shooting fish in a barrel. Haven, though, lands the shots onto Bad Boy, no problem, still covering. Now they've got the read. They're looking over in the right direction, but Fakeson is wide open.
Yeah, but they're not taking the opportunity to fire the shots, and Haven's position is now revealed. Now switch over to Panzer. You gotta fire Humble and Good. You gotta get a knock. You gotta help your team. He sends it off, but he misses as Haven will find the knock, and Silent Fury dealt with. Opportunity potentially lost there for the side of Silent Fury, but Team Mira make no mistakes. 4 kills on the board for them. And Chunks, Panzerfaust, you spoke about it. I know that we spoke about this before. It's a World War II weapon. The tank fist is what it means, as we have another crash happening here. 55 and Jolos.
Nicely done from Zello to land the headshot onto the player in the vehicle, waiting for him to expose himself. Didn't want to take the shots too early. And he's got the tank fist right now, getting ready to fire it out, looking over for some players from 55, but he has been spotted out by that player up the hill. The rest of Jolos now moving in. Zello definitely going to be looking to play point here. Util coming in handy, but I was going to say it's a little bit short. Never mind. Lands beautifully onto RN0. Down goes another. That's 2 left up now from 55. And Karax, well, he's just getting away from this one. If Erd is able to land the spray, that could be the end of him. But Psycho there to cover, preventing Karax from going down.
Yeah, elsewhere, Cruxy from Debbie Tararmas photos, which means I should have taken more photos, by the way, Chunks, in case you were wondering. Well, maybe they should be taking more points, as they've got PD sitting as dead to rights. Vakev gets locked down to 2 HP. The blue zone will get the flush. Yes, it does. PD wiped out, and oh no, Chunks. Look at the kill feed. DBTF only got 1 of the points. It was the blue zone that got all the kills off that one.
Let's be honest, the blue zone is the real winner in any game of PUBG. As this time, potentially dangerous, falling victim to it. OMG, look at this, just waiting with the Panzer again. Players are really hesitant to use them at the moment. It feels like usually if you see a vehicle coming in, you immediately fire it in that direction. But today, that's maybe not been the case unless you're dots. Resisti going to be moving back now, trying to defend his position. He just dropped an 8 on himself.
Honestly, so real. Been there, done that. Loki, he catches out one of the rotating players in his Tung Tung Sahura. Look to get more hands on that qualification LCQs. Headshot landed onto Rezi on the other side and needs to drop a little bit more. Loki will toss it over as he sees his teammate fall. It's him and Necro as a 1-2 punch now as the last 2 players standing for Tung Tung Sahura. Resist is still in that position. He'll peek on over once more. The suppressed fire doing a little bit more damage, but Chunks 3 versus 2. It's really important OMG don't go down here. That's a great spray from Loki.
If Resisti just had a bit more ammo, he might have been able to return fire, but he got a couple of bullets out, ran out of ammo, and that was the end of him. Loki now the final player from Tung Tung Sahur, trying to win this fight, but when you've got a Panzer up against you, the odds are definitely stacked in the other team's favor. Flashbangs will come out. Info denied now by flushing out Necro as Falcon putting in work onto Team Razab on the other end of things as they make a crash of their own. Right now, it's just about using that util, not exposing yourself. Yeah, Mira sneaking in. The nade will finish off the job, but Mira, they know there's players down here. They know that they're battered and bruised, so they're going to try and make the most out of this.
Yeah, OMG picked up a lot of important points here, but you feel like things could be getting pretty bad. The nade is tossed over by Haven. Isn't going to hit Pater yet. 5 kills on the board for Mira so far as they look to continue what has been a dominant couple of maps of the day. But there's Axmeyer, Team KZito, third partying in the action. Haven was completely unaware of this potential player up on the edge. And, well, rats in the photo, not rat by nature. Nice catch there from Robert as he picks up the kill onto Haven.
I see the M16 getting some love finally. The knock works out as Panda just staying behind the wall, not giving anything away, trying to grab some info. And he goes for the spray, so he knows there's at least one player over in this location. That's a huge spray from Kevins. Wasn't able to finish off the job, but a really nicely placed peek. Does Panda have any util? Because if he does, surely you'd imagine he's starting to throw it out now. The smoke ball is coming in from AKA, so I don't think they know about the player in this position. They're acting like they are. They know there's smokes there, but could it be a decoy? They're getting ready to make the cross. Panda getting ready to peek out. Probably going to go for the spray. Lands onto Nanu, but it's not going to be enough to find Falcon. Will the trade work out from Kevins? Not just yet. There's still a smoke there for cover, but that player is down extremely low. Kevins needs to get aggressive onto this.
Yeah, Kev's now last player alive for Team Razab, aka going for the res inside the smoke, and he's going to toss. You know, I like this play, because even if you don't get the kill with the explosion or the flame spreading far enough away, it should give you time to go for the res on the other side. So this is clever, but and the flame spreading out, it's actually the third party action from OMG, I think. That is no, it's actually Jumentus that's forcing them back. Falcon, how have you not been caught dead the rights there? You didn't spot him coming in, Kevs, and you're going on the hunt. The smoke is there. Falcon should be able to pick up an... Yeah, I spotted him. To say thank you very much for that extra point, Pana. Pana is not going to be able to feed the information to Kevs anymore. He's going to sprint his way across. But you got to say, this should be won by Falcon, and it is.
Yeah, but now look at this. The other squad is also moving in. Jumentus have decided to make a crash. Pana hops into the vehicle, tries to get over to safety. Will the nade land? It's just a little bit short, a little bit undercooked right now. AKA will remain in the fight, but never mind, because Jumentus, they are giving chase. A couple more bullets will be the end of Falcon. Brandy's, he's got a chauffeur as well, so this should be a whole lot easier. Nick's on the other side of things. You saw him in the feed just then, getting a knock with the Panzer onto Nazera. Will be able to flush it out as well. It's 4 HP weakened, but getting ready to crash.
Yeah, Rack 4 getting a kill onto the 4 happy mans. This is exactly what they needed today. They're not out of the race yet, but they're a long ways away as Nyx comes under heavy fire, but only takes 26 damage. Sprinting up to the top floor. Valley still alive for Dots inside the blue. The MP5 and the 9mm Maniac will peek on up and get another point on the board for Dots as they continue to extend their lead. I just wonder, does Valiant have a blue chip? Is that why he's so far inside the blue as we jump back over to Nyx's POV?
It's Valiant. I don't think it matters if he has a blue chip. He's going to be out in the blue anyway, but that would certainly explain it, as that's not the time you want to go for the heal. Tatsumi pushes up over the top, finds himself the knock. JMS actually getting taken out by Mula Systematicos as well, as it looks like our Rack 4, in a little bit of trouble now, down to just a solo as the knock is found onto the vehicle. Looks like Mula Systematica and 4 HP just fighting to try and get the kills off of each other. KX manages to pop a tire, but he's prioritizing popping ahead, and it doesn't work out this time.
Yeah, unfortunately for KX, is not going to get a knock off that one, but he's had a couple of nice moments so far tonight. I know we're only in the second map, but I'm impressed by what I've seen by this demon so far. Circle shift is going to occur as we go a little bit over towards the east. Dela Rey's still alive for Rack 4 inside the zone. But keep your eye peeled now on all these teams moving in. Mira with a compound. Jumentus Debaya with a compound as well. The rest of it is all terrain.
Can't forget Team Mirror, they just brought Haven back into it, so they're now back up to a 4-man. He's scoping out that compound down the hill, potentially looking to try and take it for his team, but needs to be careful because Brandy's is heading over in this direction. It'll at least give him something to try and loot for the time being, because that's going to be scarce in these spot compounds, and Team Mirror are postured up, ready to try and defend other squads. But I think we should focus in over on the east right now as Mula Systematica's take down Giancarlo, 4 HP, trying to use this high ground to push down the hill, find themselves an opening knock, and then take the compound.
KX, we just sang his praises a few moments ago, and now he is in the kill feed once more. 4 happy men's, 2 kills on the board for them. Need to make a rotate now inside the circle. They've got to get away around Mula Systematica, who are holding the rice fields. They're all going to get inside the Bronco. Sorry, the Bronco, inside the UAZ as things stand. I think a rotate towards the north might work out best for them, and make your way up towards where AKA are playing a little further away. Now, the question is, Mula Systematica, I don't think they're going to chase. I think they're just going to play this compound on the edge of the circle as we switch over to Mira, who are holding the southwest.
I do want to point out, by the way, Dots, they're trying to make a move in. Valley fell to the play zone. I'm not sure whether he was able to get his teammate in, as Delirious just waiting with that nade, never mind, goes for the hip fire, takes down OMG, and he's just got himself a vehicle. Mirror on the other side of things, though, they're getting aggressive over onto Team Casito. That's 2 knocks early, but it seems Zolos right now that are trying to defend their compound. Fana pushing down the hill over towards Team Casito, but he's all out of util, and he's going for a long-range spray over onto Juventus. Dots have themselves a BRDM. That explains why they survived for so long, but it's no longer part of the equation.
Yeah, Dot's third partying on the Mira. They've probably got LFP dead to rights. He's going for the first aid, but Shindo will get the spray off. He's the last player standing for Dots now. Confirms out the kill. That might be all he's able to get from this position, as Vexen and the rest of Mira look to get some revenge. They've lost Haven. They brought him back. Now they've lost another. If they get Team K0 away from this position, there is a chance they can get that res off. The problem they have is Jolos are trying to third party from the south. Team K0 are holding on to that recall compound against Jumentos de Baia, who pushed out to get the drop that came in just a little bit further north of that. I think Mira, you've got to try and make a play on the K0. You can get your teammate back. Do it as quickly as you can, because that circle shift is going to take that recall system out of the zone.
Yeah, I think for Mirror right now, is it worth it to make that crash when they know there's potentially going to be more teams sneaking in? I'm really not sure. They're positioning out of the building that they previously held, and it does look like they want to get aggressive onto Team Casito. With only 2 players left up, they're only committing 2 onto the push, but Haven, the player who was himself just recalled in, will be getting knocked now by Zello. The nade comes out to try and find the flush as Team Mirror. I think the crash is beyond hope now.
Well, at this point, you got to move back down to try your teammate up. The Kira is going to get wiped by Sonics as he drives on by, leaving Tatsumi as the last 4 happy men's player standing. Mira were going to go for that recall, but now they're forced to turn tail and try and get Haven back on his feet, but he's been dealt with as it is a hit and run from Jolos. And Chunks, that recall is no longer going to be possible, because inside that compound, Team Casito have just brought back 2 of their teammates, which means the recall system is out of action, and now they are just left to Robert, who's going to spot Mira going by. So a couple of little things happened there that has allowed all this to occur. The fact that Dots third pushed onto Mira in third party that fight, and then Jolo's fourth party at the back of that, allowed Team K0 to get the recall in, and it's also denied Mira the possibility of doing the same.
Fakeson looking out. Zella goes to pop that boost. He's got to read onto Fana's position. But right now, Zolos, they've got to move down this hillside. They've got to get over to safety somehow, but it is just so open up ahead of them right now. Fana doing his best to try and keep behind cover. But it's going to be so difficult for Team Zolos to actually get into this circle. Robert, by the way, the final player from Team Casito, is going to be running down the hill, but Delirious taken out with the C4. I think that was a vehicle.
Yeah, Ern just ran it in, got the kill, and that'll be that position for Jolos if they need it. But look above you. Team K0 are making their way in. They won't have any weapons. They won't have anything. So they're going to try to find some position or scouting to do, as Sonics is going to get wiped out. Or get the knock onto Zinni, I should say, as he rotates his way in. But I think they should be able to get that res off. Chunks, I'm going to ask you a very important question.
I'm waiting.
Bugatti or Lamborghini?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think Bugatti just, it sounds better, doesn't it? Zello, ooh, sounding off some shots over towards Fanner. But it's going to be Robert who steals it away. The final player from Team Casito getting another point on the board. Fakes able to trade onto Zello. And Robert, well, he goes for him as well. And he's just eliminated the final player from Team Mira.
Yeah, Mira wiped us. There'll be no chicken dinner for them in the first 2 games on the night. Roberts gets a little bit windy here in Tego as the breeze just pushes the barrel of the gun a little bit too far away to get some damage on Jolos. Looking further away, Robert will go for a repeat. This time he's got C. De Carlos in his sights, but again, that strong breeze just preventing him from hitting any real shots. Have you noticed how he's also put the shield up in a position to protect the tires of his Bugatti?
Yeah, I think another thing I want to note from Team Casito right there, Robert just had a teammate land right on top of him, and I'm thinking, what is Axeman going to do? They actually loaded up a weapon and some ammo into the back of that vehicle, so he has got at least some loot to work with now, which is pretty nice to see from Team Casito, just thinking ahead when they made that recall. Okay, the options are limited inside this circle. There's no chance of being able to actually loot anything, so let's try and get bit preemptive and grab some. I would imagine now Team Casito, their teammate Angel, he's gone down to those crates over to the body. He's going to be grabbing something of his own. So Team Casito have actually reset themselves really well.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at such situation they find themselves in. It could have been so much worse as they full send it into the drops now. Angel will have some level 3 gear, and they've got themselves a rock to hide in. They've got themselves a Bugatti. I think the tires are popped, but they still be able to get some momentum going in that thing if they need to. But what about this for an opportunity for Jolos, right? They're inside the center of the circle. They need a big tally game. A win here would really give them a chance of qualification, and they seem to have upped their gameplay big time here inside of Tego. But what a need that was from Roberts.
Throwing out a second one as well to try and confirm the flush. It's going to be a little bit far. This is the perfect opportunity to try and use a BZ nade, but it looks like they're getting util in return as well. Just a little bit far again, and this time they're not going to be able to bring Axmeyer back into the lobby. And it seems like every team is focusing onto Team Casito as Brandes finds himself the re-knock onto Angel. Robert, the final player, left up, or should I say left down, lying prone, as KX will be able to finish off the job. XL try and land some fire over onto Jumentus, but they're now focusing on regrouping, potentially going to retake this central position.
What an opportunity this is for... Oh, that's a great BZ. That is a... Oh, no, it bounced the wrong way in the terrain, and it's not going to fully encompass the shack, so that is disappointing. I think it could have been so much better for Mula Systematica. I think just a little bit of damage dealt on the Jolos, but not enough to find the knock. All the BZs have fallen, and for Mula Systematica, you feel like that's a massive utility dump. Sonic spots out the dead teammate inside the thing, and I think he thought it was a helmet. I thought the same thing there, Sonics. Don't worry, it's not just you, as Mula Systematica want to get some points on the board, but Chunks, let's just take a second to think of how big an opportunity this is for all 4 of these teams to get a win, considering where they are in the leaderboards.
It could be huge, just like that Molotov from Jumentus. It's not going to connect in the way you would have hoped. Mixel throws out a frag. That should be on the money. Takes down Brandes. Tags him with a little bit of damage in return, though, as DeCarlos getting ready with a second BZ. Surely that one's going to be able to finish off the players inside the shack. Pre-nades out in front. Nicely done to find the damage, but as of right now, they haven't found themselves that second knock. May have spoke too soon as Ern goes down. It's all onto Mixel. His position is spotted out. Nades landing in left, right, and center. But it's the flashbang that comes through in the end. And that final one, he somehow still survives. Jumentus are going to try and commit onto this, but he might be able to get a res in time.
Yeah, he's going for the res inside the shack, and Jumentos de Bios have done the exact same thing. Look at KX, though, here from Mula Systematica. He has wrapped his way around to the edge of the circle, just peeking for an off angle onto this fight. You can see that Carlos spotted them out. He knows they're going for that wrap on the other side. But all of the members of Xolos, they got to be so careful because one more good nade or one molly will spell death. CD Carlos drops down to 1 HP. He's going to toss the stun up over the edge. He's going to... Oh, the flames. The molly means that CD Carlos cannot push inside yet. But eventually, he needs to try and make a play happen. He's going to peek inside. He sprays a little bit of damage. The BC's going to catch him. It stops him from going. And that's a spray from Mula Systematica. And running out from the compound is Aaron. He falls. So does Mixtall. Xolos eliminated. And then there were 3.
Mixel thought he could survive that, but he just wasn't high enough health. And yeah, you mentioned it, 3 teams remaining. And let's not forget Falcon from AKA. He's still inside the zone here, keeping his head down, just letting these teams deal with each other, trying to confirm himself for second place. And who knows, if they both take a couple of players down a piece, he might just be able to get himself a victory. If there are a couple players down, that is, and right now both these teams are fully posted up, ready to defend. Carlos tries to land a spray over towards Sonics, finds a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be enough to find a knock.
Yeah, you look at the circle. Jumentos de Bios closest to the center as things stand, but you cannot rule out the impact that Falcon is going to have. He is prone on the dirt track. It's going to begin moving in. Now, here's the thing. The players know that there's a solo alive somewhere. They might even think that it's a 3 and a 2. But if they've read the kill feed correctly, they know that Falcon is still alive somewhere in the circle. They also know that if Falcon hasn't peeped up just yet, he's not going to peep up for another little while. So that allows these 2 teams to focus on each other. In reality, I think they have a really good idea of exactly where Falcon is. But at this moment in time, he's not the biggest problem for these 2 teams.
I mean, Victor is definitely playing more up to the north, so he definitely has a read on where Falcon's going to be. But look at the zone. He has to expose himself. He's going to have to move down this hillside. And if I was Jumentos right now, I wouldn't even go for the kill on him. Let Mula Systematicos potentially get the kill just in the hope that Falcon's able to take down 1 or 2 of their players. Because any second, he's going to get eyes over on towards these players. And I would imagine he's going to at least go for a knock onto one of them.
And this is the thing, right? If this was FPP, Falcon would be fine. You know, play the rat game, just about get yourself in the circle and live to fight another day. But because of the third-person perspective, if he goes too far over that ridgeline, the peripheral vision of Mula Systematica will reveal his position. So for him, just another inch, another belly crawl, and you'll be close enough to the circle that you can wait a little while longer. Now look at Victor. He's wrapped all the way up to the north. He's going to keep an eye on the potential of Falcon pushing this way, leaving in essence Mula Systematica in a 3, or leaving Jumentos de Bio in a 3 versus 4 on the south side, while Victor keeps an eye on the potential rat play.
Blood using the height now from the Doritos, trying to get on the back of the truck for a second. It didn't work out. More smokes will come through. Somehow Falcon has made it inside of this zone without exposing himself, but now his attention has to switch over towards Jumentos. Victor, he's jumping up in the air. He hasn't quite been able to spot anything, but I think he's expecting a player to be over in this position. Flashbang comes out. That's his cue to peek. Deployable shield goes up, but look at this. Mula Systematica's actually providing him cover. Falcon will deny to the zone in the end.
Yeah, 4v4 now. Zig is belly crawling up. He's sitting in first person. Sonics is going to be the first to fall, though, as Victor gets the off angle. Takes a lot of damage, so he's going to hit the deck and stay prone, but the blue zone is closing on his position. That is going to hurt a lot once it begins to hit him. Another knock as Brandes will find KX and the members of Mula Systematica falling apart now. It's all down to Lawson and Zig, Chunks. There's just a few seconds left in this game, but they need to find a knock, and they need to find it now.
Blue zone closing in is limiting where they can actually peek from. Flushes will be found, denying the info onto Jumentos as Brandy will be caught with the flashbang, but he's not caught with any shots. Follow it up. Victor, he's really far away from the rest of his team, but it doesn't matter because Blood's got the MG3. He's found one, took the second down low, and it's the blue zone in the end that wins the game for them. Jumentos de Baia with 9 kills and a chicken dinner. We said when we got to that end game, every team needed the points, and Jumentos is certainly one of them that did.
Yeah, Jumentos, that 19 points will rocket them up as well, as they are doing their best to get themselves into those qualification points. There's only 2 games left to go on the night, but this is going to help them. 55 not having the best night by their standards. Either are potentially dangerous, but Sahur Chunks, couple of kills on the board again. They didn't get any placement points, but it's little things like this. These 2-3 points you find every once in a while when you're having a bad game that give you a chance of qualification.
We always speak about those average points, don't we? And it certainly seems that if you're able to average 4 to 7 points a game, you're going to be in a really good position to just have that one strong performance that bumps you up, especially in these cups that only have 8 games in them. So really, really good from them. Will that put them in the running? Definitely. Do they have a secure spot in the top 4? Absolutely not. They still need to have another strong performance to get themselves up there, but ultimately for every single team in the end game, they needed those points, and most of them were able to deliver.
Yeah, in that end game, you gotta give Victor so much credit. Pushed the North, didn't get the kill on the rat, but forced them to die to the blue, and then got that really important knock that opened it up. 19 points for them. Mula Systematica, who were in the qualification spots, 12 points for them. We'll keep them in touch at this point in time as well. Mira, don't need to worry about it. They've already qualified. But AKA, they are not qualified either, Chunks. And they picked up 10 points. So a lot of the teams around the bubble picking up points in that game. And that makes the last 2 games of tonight so interesting as we look at the overall leaderboard.
Yeah, the overall leaderboard, Dots still hold on to first place, but Mula Systematica now have made themselves a considerable jump, just as Juventus Tabala have. Team Casito as well, making it into the late game. Sure, they weren't in the top 4, but they were able to bring back players and get a couple of kills out of it, so that's got them into qualification. Remember, it's the top 4 that go through, but the fact that Team Merit and 55 Esports have already qualified means that 6th place is now the qualification cutoff, and right now, 6th and 7th place are both tied on 37 points.
Yeah, and Juventus Debaya just about leading the tiebreaker with those 3 extra placement points. Both of those teams winning a map. It's funny to see, Chunks, that Tung Sahura, who have won 1 out of 6 maps, have still only got 10 placement points, showing that it is boom or bust for them. But I think we're going to jump into a very quick break. When we come back, it will be Rondo. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
A new collaboration, movable death boxes, and some changes to Miramar. All this and more as we dive into the update 37.2 patch report. First up, the desert's about to heat up again with a visit from the iconic artist G-Dragon. You'll be able to find an emote stage on the starting island. Special G-Dragon map decor such as a decked out gas station and fan room, and other themed visuals such as planes, blue chip towers, and care packages. And be sure to head over to the G-Dragon truck stop to immerse yourself in the recreated Power music video set. Next up, we're improving the way you interact with some of the objects around the map. You'll now be able to reposition death boxes to get them to a safer location before looting, or use them to lure unsuspecting loot goblins to their demise. Doors can now be opened inward as well as outward. And all those gas tanks you've been wanting to shoot for years will now explode when you do so, leaving behind a large cloud of smoke to cover your movements. More details on where you can see these changes in the patch notes. And speaking of Miramar, the Minas Generalis area has gotten an overhaul this update as well. We've streamlined building layouts for more efficient looting, added more item spawn locations, simplified the terrain and structures, and balance out the engagements between high and low ground in the area. There's also a new Survivor Pass, the return of Survivors Left Behind and Hungers Left Behind, some updates to Team Deathmatch and Intense Battle Royale, and more. So check out the patch notes for full details. Update 37.2 is here, so drop into Miramar, stack those death boxes high, and kick back with some G-Dragon hits. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
still alive. Just eviscerate the team just like that. They have taken the game.
With just one game to go after this one, 5 teams have put themselves forward with an excellent chance to qualify for the LCQs. But Chunks, just over their shoulders, there are 2 or 3 more teams who are still saying, look at us, the job is not over yet. We still have a chance. At this moment in time, Tung Tung Sahura are just being separated by Juventus de Bala by placement points alone, as both players are locked together on the same overall point tally. And there's a hot drop here for PD inside of Fongtun.
And of course, it had to be Juventus that are taking the hot drop as well, so they need to come out on top of this one, stand themselves a good chance of being able to qualify because of how close it truly is right now. And look at this, PD, they are getting aggressive early. Tony, Glock, both pushing in. They take down Brandy's as, well, it looks like Juventus, they're just going to back out of this one. And honestly, I can't blame them. I'd rather play as a 3-man and play a safe game than take the risk of potentially losing all your players to PD. And it's a bit of a shame that they did get hot drop, because this circle would have been perfect for them if they didn't have to rotate up to the north.
Chunks, it's a 4-letter acronym for them right now. Get the hell out. Do not risk another player in this situation. Just GTHO and live to fight another day. You can still rotate south in a little while after you've looted a couple of compounds on the periphery of the western side of the map. I was going to say west coast, but again, this map doesn't really have a coast. It's got one little slither, I think, down by the southeast, so over by the western front of the map is what I maybe should say. But 4 happy men's, not been great, not been terrible either. A win here puts them into the hunt going into the final map of the day. But with the circle that we have, what do we need from 4 happy men's to give themselves a realistic opportunity going into the final game of the night?
An EP. They need an EP. Get them down into this circle, and then they have to win. Not a big ask from them. But I will say, right now, with the way that they've dropped, they are running over on foot over towards Ryan, which means they're losing valuable looting time. And when you're this far outside the circle, I think sometimes you just have to accept, yeah, we're going to be late in. Let's maximize the amount of time that we have looting. But honestly, this is going to be a rough game for them if they aren't able to get themselves an EP, basically, and get sent a circle early on.
The only other option, I guess, if they don't get the EP, is to be the last of the late rotators. You know, get yourself into the circle at the very end after everyone else has pushed a little further in. You know, I guess there's an art to rotating that a lot of the top teams have, where they'll go, you know what, we're really far from the zone. We don't have any pickup. We don't need to be in for phase 1. We can ride the blue out and wait for that phase 2 pop and then focus on what way we want to get into the circle. But to do that, you still have to be within, you know, a kilometer of the edge of the zone so that you're not trying to traverse half the map late on. But I still think it'll be okay. Like, I think, as you said, E-pickup would be the primary objective. If you don't get it, rotate slow, rotate late. I think the only issue, with a map like Rondo is you don't have the opportunity to wrap in all the way down around the southwest or southeast like on other maps because of the fact you've got that massive bay and river that runs up through Rinjiang, which means you have to cross a bridge or, go into a really small part of the map. So keep an eye on what they do over the course of the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for those teams that are late to rotate, especially a squad like 4HP. But I want to give Team Casito a bit of love right now because they really had a strong performance in that last game, getting themselves a lot of points and getting themselves properly into the running for things. So let's see if they can carry on that momentum, maybe get themselves a win to put themselves up at the top end of things. They've loaded up with a foldable shield. Honestly, load it up with Panzers. They're so much more useful. We've seen how effective they can be, especially when you look at that squad wipe. Dots were able to get onto the BRDM earlier because, remember, we are on that live patch. We have got BRDMs and everything, which, yeah, we're used to having by now. But it is always that element of teams in esports carry a lot less ammo than you typically get in your public matches, so it is a lot harder to shred those BRDMs unless you land a Panzer shot.
Our observer shaking his head there, watching DTMF just crash into each other there as they make their way into the circle. Yes, we have a bunch of very talented observers keeping an eye on the action all through the night. I think as this is the last Player Cup of the year, we do need to show some love to everybody behind the scenes who let us do what we do, who give the players the opportunity to showcase what they do on the PUBG Battlegrounds channel here as well. But one team that have flattered to deceive, right, is Silent Fury. Like, we've seen some nice things today, but not enough. I think they're doing great stuff in the early game, but their presence in the late game has not been anywhere near what they would have wanted it to be. I think that this is their do or die map. They're another team like 4 Happy Men's just beside them who realistically need double-digit points just to give themselves a chance going into the final map of the night. And they're doing that rotate I expected, Chunks. They're going west, or they're going east to then go west, Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no, indeed. No, you can't miss those shots. He's only got 12 bullets left. He's going to have to hit the reload as Commandex takes down one. Digod with a second. Humble and Good with the third. And, well, that is probably going to be the end of 4HP, unless they're able to grab the chips. But honestly, there's vehicles around here. Grab the chips off the bodies, blow up the vehicle, deny 4HP the opportunity to get in. That is the best play if you're SF right now.
Chunks, that is bold. I'll get the spray. I'll put you in timeout. Don't be blowing up blue chips. Give them a fair chance. That's what I do in ranked.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, but that's ranked. This is a team that's trying to qualify. Let them have a chance.
But guess what? All of these teams are trying to qualify right now. If you're not doing that, if you're not denying another team the opportunity to qualify, you're just making things harder for yourself.
Yeah, but Chunks, competitive integrity and all that, right? I think
boring.
I'll keep an eye, right? Nay0 will know if his teammates' blue chips have been destroyed, because when you die, you can see your blue chip on the map. You can see where it's going. So I don't know if Silent Fury have blown them up or not. They haven't stayed long enough to make me think they've blown them. But one thing I will spot out, Tung Sahur need to get these reses off, because just like Juventus de Bayo, who lost one earlier, who they're level on points with, they're at risk of losing Faraz here as well, unless DK can get the res off.
There's a lot on the line for these teams right now, especially if you're on the cusp. Every single point matters, and I mean, if you go down early in this game, there is so much pressure on you going into the next one. As Panna, I like the attempt. It didn't quite work out how we would have hoped. We love seeing the bolt shots in use, and I feel like we were expecting a lot more players to start using bolts. Certainly hasn't been the case. It's definitely been the VSS that has come into favor in the recent patches.
Well, it's the fact that the bolts are still really inconsistent. Like, you need a headshot to get a knock. Like, a body shot isn't going to do enough damage. The rate of fire is so low.
It's a skill issue, Gibson.
Yeah, but you think about the DMRs, it's still quick fire. It's still a couple of shots to the chest and head and you find a knock. Like, it's difficult. By the way, Pana is Pana 15 cm. There's also a clan in South America that have a lot of players that are 22 centimeters. One of the players' name is It's. That's a very fun name to say on a broadcast, but we will move on and not talk about that anymore before we get ourselves in trouble, Chunks. But Team Rezav, on the cusp, right? We can argue, you know, they're a little bit of a gap between them and the teams that are in the qualification spots, but they're definitely, you know, even a 5 or 6 point game here gives them a chance going into the final game of the night.
I mean, you want more than that, don't you? You want more than 5 or 6 points. I don't think there's the opportunity with how close things currently are to be like, oh, we only need this amount and then we can have this big game. Just do it now. Just get yourself as many points as possible. I like seeing teams get aggressive when we get down to these end of the event scenarios when it is so close. You just have to take the game into your hands, and guess what, if you don't put your foot on the gas, then other teams are going to, and they're going to get more kill points, and ultimately they're what matter the most. But we'll wait and see how phase 2 pops. It centers up. Most teams going to be pretty happy with this, but obviously a couple still going to need to find some space. Now if you're a team on the east, that's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, if you're on the east, like Mira, you've got, I think, Team Quezito out there, Jolos and Silent Fury. You have a long way to go in. Juventus Debaya have got Brandes back in, but guess who they're beside again? Potentially dangerous, who killed you once already. Brandes, I swear, if you give 2 points from yourself to another team in the same game, I won't be angry. I'll just be disappointed, which is, we all know, is 10 times worse, Chunks, right? Like, that's the one you were afraid of hearing from your parents when you were younger. I'm not angry.
Or your wife.
I'm just disappointed. Oh, I'm a constant disappointment to my wife, so that's fine.
Oh, Tun Sahur, they're not disappointed with this one. They just quickly take down DTMF. Nicely done. Points on the board. That has now put them in front of Juventus de Bios, but things are so close. It is not the time to rest on your laurels. They need to keep those points rolling in, but honestly, in a position like this, they're going to have a really good opportunity to hold out teams as long as that circle continues to center up. I think the problem is, because there are so many teams around them, it will be risky to make a rotate. Speaking of rotates, I do want to point out that Potentially Dangerous have rotated away from Juventus, so that provides them a bit of rest. And there is something we haven't mentioned tonight, Gibson, and that's that everyone in chat that has 2 monitors should be doing exclamation point map right now, because sometimes we're talking about things that we just can't see on the main feed.
Yeah, 100%. That's worth doing, as we can see a couple of pickups coming in here at the moment. We can see that I think like Tung Sahur really good in the center of the circle, and the only way to do it is have the map open. I always say, if you're watching the game on your TV or on your phone or on your monitor, use another device to get the map open, and you'll learn so much more about the rotates of the top players in the game.
Maybe take some notes to your own games, find some positions that maybe you didn't realize were possible. It's 55 Esports. They realized that Mirror are up close, but they also realized that there's a player from 4HP that's just been recalled in, and he's just staying on top of the mountain right now, almost playing as a scout, calling out that info. But honestly, it's going to be difficult. They're down to just a 2-man. One of them doesn't have any loot at all, so, I mean, maybe his teammate has a vehicle that's got loot loaded into the back, but Psycho, he's loaded up that mortar, trying to land some shots onto the top of the mountain, and credit to him if this connects.
I am watching this with bated breath. Oh, that's not far. That's a good effort. Giancarlo takes more damage. He's got no meds. Like, if you get the Panzer to land anywhere near, I'd even argue the top might find pay dirt. This one, a little bit further, a little bit higher, a little bit more, and
he's got no meds either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Giancarlo's just a scout. He's going to stay alive. Like, I don't think there's any mortars left now for them, but...
Oh, look at this, though.
Surprised.
DZ, he's snuck up onto this compound. He's used the suppressing fire from Team Mirror and the mortars as an opportunity to get up behind. This could be horrible for 55 Esports.
Yes, isn't he? He's got not too far away. Mixtall's not far away either, Chunks, but what about that for a circle shift? 55 in a good spot. Jolos, They've got a good spot in this circle. I think that you look at it, Dots, they'll make their way in. They'll probably find themselves locked in battle with 55 and Jolos as they move in. You know, realistically, that's going to happen somewhere in this square, depending on where Dots... Hello, square in the open. Now I've just drawn it on the map. My timing is phenomenal, isn't it, when it comes to these drawings?
Oh, always. I think we're used to it by this point. Look, right now, Zolos, they want to get aggressive over onto this fight, and oh, that's not a very loving thing to do from Mixtall as he takes down Bad Boy, but Humble and Good able to run over a player in return. He's only got 1 health left, but RNZ is able to land some shots in his direction, so Humble and Good might be able to make something happen. Just a DZ is not going to be able to find the kill. It's Badilol with the seat swap to take down Zinni, and well, Dots, they might just have got themselves their first point on the board, but they haven't got themselves a position just yet.
Yeah, Jolos, this went from a really good situation to not a great one in a few seconds. KZito, they're going to give up the compound as Dots have arrived in position, and they've got a Panzer to keep themselves right. Remember, if you're going to use that, use the VSS, it can be your primary and your secondary, your long range and your close range. You just load up as much 9mm as you can and then carry a Panzer or, you know, carry some of the other useful gadgets you can take. Oh my god, Kerak, a couple of nice little taps there. Oh, I thought it was KX that got that knock, but it was actually Kerak on the other side. But either way, poor Silent Fury. They just can't get a break at all.
Ooh, Lozin, he misses every shot onto Commandex, and Mixtool will fall because of it. Angel will be getting knocked out in the open now as AKA start to get themselves involved. They're both going to be sharing kind of 2 halves of the same compound. Suprenade's coming out from AKA to try and take the position, but they are a little bit split up for the time being. Falcons close down the distance as Coyote tries to go for the med kit, realizes he's out of ammo, goes to the reload, thankfully before pushing, but Team Casito are under a lot of trouble, especially with Dan Shin in this off angle, catching them and pinning them down to this building.
AKA,
wow, that's big.
These points are, yeah, these points could be so big for AKA as well. They're on the right side of the leaderboard, but remember, 7th and 6th place are potential qualification spots at this point in time. Falcon is going to step on out and he catches him. Team KZito wiped 4 points for AKA, and one of your rivals will be picking up no more points this map, and AKA have just secured complete control of the northern border. Giancarlo still alive for his team. Wait, here comes the rest of 4 happy men's. They're back.
Where's the final player, though? Because we know about Giancarlo up on top of the hill, right? He's got no meds or anything, but where is the player who just recalled the rest of the team? He's nowhere on the map right now, so he's got to be deep out in the blue, but hey-ho, they managed to get 2 back up. They're heading to the northeast, so I'd imagine that's where the final player is going to be making a rotate through. But you know what? If you're 4 happy men's right now, you're definitely living up to your name, because you are going to be happy that you've managed to get all 4 players back up, especially when you consider just how stranded Giancarlo is now. Can you imagine if they actually have an EP and they get the opportunity to loot a little bit, or land up there with this circle how it is so open? They're going to be looking to get some serious kills.
Oh, I think you just got to abandon Giancarlo. I think you just leave him be. Don't even try to get up there at this point in time. Play your game and let him just feed information to you. Play the game as best as you can. Now, at this point in time, with 13 teams alive, 45 players, as we get closer and closer to the 20-minute mark, you've still got so many of the teams that are in the hunt alive, like Tung Tung Sahur, Juventus de Bayo, AKA, all alive inside the circle. Team Rezav are there as well, so a lot of opportunities for these teams to still make a play as we get ready for the final game of the night. But PD, 5 kills for them. They're in 8th place, but they have already qualified to LCQs. But those 5 kills would put them above Juventus Tabaya. I think it might not put them ahead of Tung Tung Sahur with the kills that they have. Like, it's just making it very interesting on the left side of the leaderboard.
Speaking of interesting, look at this crash coming through from AKA. This could be an interesting one because Nubsky, he's been over in this little divot on the rock for a while now, not giving his position away. He just needs to be careful from his southwest, but ultimately, if he is able to get eyes on a couple of those players, he's going to cause real trouble.
Nazir's there as well. Right. I think that Giancarlo is going to jump down into some smoke, and I think that there's some first aids and some gear inside. But Beleda, he's going to push up towards Falcon. Nade being thrown the other way. He heard the pin being pulled. The nade will find 41 damage. Beleda's got a nade of his own as a gift back towards Falcon, but Falcon might want to return that one to Sender as he takes 80 damage on the other side. Beleda will drop down to 6, and Nubsky needs to help his teammates out. You've got to provide some cover because one member of Rezav is down. Another one might be about to join him. This is a huge fight when it comes to trying to qualify for LCQs, and Nubsky will find the knock on the Nanu, but Beleda's traded on the other side.
Nubsky just not there to provide the support that he needed to, and now all is on to Dan Shin for AKA. Smokes will be coming down from AKA right now to try and get safety, but look at this, 4 HP. They've sent Nazir around the back. He's going to be able to try and steal out some of these flushes. Right now, Dan Shin, though, is under so much pressure. Pana has finally closed in to try and recover things for his team, and he does as he takes down AKA in 13th.
Yeah, and did AKA do enough in this map to put themselves in with a chance? Remember, they were on 31 points going into this one. 37 points was the current cutoff spot, so couple of points on the board, but not enough. Giancarlo is going to drop down and get the res onto Giancarlo. No! No!
Oh, he didn't have any heals, did he? So he's just been up there on low HP for what, 20 minutes almost?
What?
Like, at least 10 at this point. That is horrible.
You got a parachute, though.
He might have missed it.
Oh, Giancarlo, no. 4 happy men's were on 23 points as well. They weren't out of the running, but now they might just be potentially dangerous. They spot OMG driving on by. 5 kills on the board for them, and oh my god, they're doing a number on them. Gabri's going to take down his own teammate, but Tony and Nidavon, they are going to see it fall. Loki picks up the kill on the race, but OMG will fall as well. 9 teams left alive. And everybody gets on the move once more. But keep an eye on Mira now. They're pushing up as Baddies need as a Baden. He gets 2 members of Mira. And now the 2 members of Dot still standing. 3 members of Dot still standing. Just have LFP left to deal with.
Really impressive defense there from Dots. Beautifully timed nade and a well-placed Panzer to finish off Fakeson as well. It's only going to be LFP left up for Team Mirror right now. As 55 Esports, they continue looking for the final Systematica player down on the south. They're not going to be able to connect with the spray, but I'll tell you what, that vehicle has got to be low by this point. They're switching their attention over towards potentially dangerous, realizing that they're the team that could try and gatekeep. Psycho lands a little bit of damage, but it's not enough to finish off the job, and 55 are probably going to try and take this compound up to their north. Mula Systematicas do eventually fall, and again, it's Tung Tung Sahur that are credited for another point, which is much needed in their current position.
Tung Tung Sahur, center of the circle, still in with a really good chance of qualifying. Jumentos de Baya, the same as they play over on the other side. Up to the north, Rezav with a bunch of points on the board. They're still hunting qualification as well. And yes, Jolo's still alive, but a long way back. Zyko will wipe out Team Mira as Dots pick up their 4th kill and extend their lead at the top of the leaderboard as they're looking to pick up the lion's share of the point, or of that prize pool. But Chunks, this race between Jumentos de Baya, Tung Tung Sahur, and Rezav is heating up big time as we move into the latter stages of this map.
Certainly the case. Dots trying to use their position to pick up some kills, but potentially dangerous, realizing that they're going to have to try and make a push in, just looking to find angles onto any players. But right now, you got to think Tung Tung Sahur are going to come under threat.
Dots alive on the other side of the circle. They've got a ton of good ground, but I think you're bang on, like Tung Tung Sahur's position. One of 2 things are going to happen. One, they're going to get crashed and then crashed again as 3 teams will try to vie for the same spot. Or they just farm points from this position as they look on over. Jumentos de Baya, they want to make a move, but potentially dangerous from the edge of the circle or trying to hold them out. At some point in Phase 6, though, Chunks, both of these teams need to move.
Nubsky opens up with a nice knock onto Brandy's, but right now, Juventus are not the threat that Rezav need to be concerned about. They need to worry about getting into the circle, and it seems like Dots are going to be the ones that prevent that. Zello from Zolos is still alive. 55 Esports are close, but he will be able to get over to the bush. Needs to drop down prone to get the heal, and ultimately can't risk giving away any footsteps right now. It looks like Pippa has not heard him just yet, but he's all out of first aid. He's only got bandages. I think right now, if you're Zello, you're just playing to get a knock, get that extra point on the board. But Pippa, he's playing like he thinks someone's around him, and he's able to pick up the kill. That's Zolos down in 7th.
Yeah, he knew. 55 have got a lovely Blanco, and here's the first of the crashes. Oh my god, the C4 wasn't timed right at all, as Night of On is going to go down. But here's the rest of PD on the crash. One's got a Panzer, but Faraz was ready. Another knock, a 7th kill. Juventus to Baia, they're going to fall to the blue. Do 55 use this as an opportunity to crash, or do they send it north towards Dots on the other side? Tony, though, the only player still standing for PD. Make that not Tung Tung Sahur. They are on the move. Another kill, another placement point, another hand onto the possibility of qualification. And Chunks can't even rule them out on winning this map yet either. The position they have is so strong.
Really, really strong indeed. Dots are just trying to make something out of this now, trying to farm up as many kills as they can. But right now, Tung Tung Sahur, they're stealing the show. 8 kills on the board, being able to defend this position. There's a crate out in front of them, but Loki, you got to loot quickly because you are now wide open to those players up ahead. Shane Doe, he spotted out 2 of the 55 Esports players who are holding onto the rock as he's now engaged in a bit of a peak battle up against Psycho. Will drop down prone, but that vehicle's about to blow, and that'll get rid of his cover.
Rezav as well, 2 players still alive as they go for points. Shane Doe has been knocked by Psycho, but I think he might just be resable unless 55 get on the move quick. They're going to use that knock as an opportunity to regroup. But here comes Psycho. Full send into the compound. He's going to drop in the one. Orange Zera. He spots out one volley. It is going to fall as Psycho will get that knock. Batty's going to drop as well. That leaves Zyko as the last player standing. The Panzer gets one, but he isn't going to get a second. And now the race is on to get the res. The rest of 55 will hold their ground, but there's only 3 teams left alive. Novsky caught out in the open by Pipa, the M249, shredding him from that sort of a range. The question is, how many points do Rezav have? Novsky's not going to get resed, but Pana still has a chance of maybe picking up another point or 2 for his team.
And the question also is, how did Tung Tung Sahur approach this one? Surely they've got to realise it's Rezav out in the open, but right now they're just focusing all their attention onto 55 Esports. If I was in Tung Tung Sahur's position, I would just focus on killing this final player from Team Rezav. That extra placement point that you're going to gather, the extra kill point out of it, it's really worth it for them. As Loki lands a lot of damage over onto Pana, that BZ nade is going to be perfect, but will he pop the heal in time? It seems to be the case, but they at least know where his position is going to be. BZ nade has not quite landed where it would have hoped to, as the bolt shots come out from Pana, not quite connected onto Loki just yet, and Loki, so far, coming out on top of this peak battle.
Yeah, Loki's just going to toss the smoke, reposition himself, because he knows that Rezav will have to move. I like this idea, trying to use the zip line to get up on top of the roof. Let's see if he's smashed this one the way he would like. He's going to head on up, then you got to jump and try to rappel. Nope. Not quite what you needed, Loki, but you know, the vision, 10 out of 10. Give it another try. Pick it up once more, give it another go. You're going to run out towards the crate, get yourself an angle. The problem here, if you're Pana, even if you land a headshot, it's not going to work. Loki's got level 3 helmet, level 3 vest. Like, Loki can afford to play with ego.
Loki holding the angle. He knows it's a bolt. He is not afraid right now. Phase 8 getting ready to close in. It's dead center. Karak, I think, is the only player that is marginally inside of it. Loki trying to pre-fire the rock before unpeaking as Tung Tung Sahur get ready to make their move, realising they're going to be wide open to 55 Esports, who are starting to get themselves some cover. Psycho will finish off the job, so that's Rezav out in 3rd. Tung Tung Sahur with a player disadvantage, but a P90 and 3 gear on the side.
Yeah, but the circle is in the hands of 55 Esports, as the members of Tung Tung Sahur will need to move out into the open. Now, they have been throwing deployable cover, so in essence, they've made this at least somewhat doable, as Loki will make the first level of the crossing. Kerak's been spotted out by Faraz, who will be left on cover duties inside the compound. Faraz doesn't need to get a knock. A knock would be phenomenal, but what he does need to do is find damage. Force members of 55 Esports into cover to give your rest of your teammates a chance to make it closer. But look at Psycho. He's closing the gap even more. They're trying to completely remove any rotates that Tung Tung Sahur have. This is just really good endgame play from 55.
I mean, you've got to bear in mind, the next phase is just going to be a dot. It is just going to center up in the middle of phase 8, and that's why 55 Esports have got so proactive on this. They are taking the center of the circle and basically saying, yeah, you've got the hard cover, but we don't have to beat you. This is third person. We can keep our heads down for a little bit, and when you inevitably have to make that cross, that's when we're going to punish you. Right now, they've still got crossfires set up with Pippa and his teammate a little bit further to the south, the rest of the squad up to the north. They are playing this beautifully. A headshot does land onto Loki, but as we mentioned, that three-helm being the decider. Faraz gets the opening knock. This should be Tung Tung Sahur's opportunity to push, but they just haven't got the smokes down yet.
Yeah, you gotta move. You gotta try smoke off Oranzer's position and close the gap. You got the knock, but as soon as you found it, 55 are back up to a 4. Because of the way that the two players on that side are aggressively peeking, yeah, it's not going to go far enough. Like, this game, that was the one opportunity Tung Tung Sahur were going to get realistically. And unfortunately for them, they weren't ready to capitalize off the back of that one. 55 are just locking them out. The blue zone is at Tung Tung Sahur's back. They're not going to deny because there's no point. 55 are already qualified, so it doesn't really change your perspective. It doesn't really change your horizons if you lose this game or you deny. So you may as well go down swinging, particularly with level 3 gear. Oh, Chunks, it's not looking good.
No, it isn't. I do like that from Pippa, though. I think he just threw down a BZ nade, just knowing that Tung Tung Sahur are going to have to start making a push out of here, but it is just a little bit short. If he was able to get them over to those Doritos, it would have been a whole different story. Faraz will fall to zone as Kaka tries to go for the long-range shot. Not going to work out. Really, it's all onto Loki at this point. Now, he's got a P90, which can absolutely shred players. He does exactly that to Karax, but he is limited on time. Trying to confirm the flush will do just that. And it's an extra point and a second place for Tung Tung Sahur, but it's 55 Esports who get the win with 11 kills.
Yeah, 21 points for them as they try to catch Dots, who picked up a nice tally of points of their own there, as well as 55 and Dots seem now to be in a 2-horse race for that top spot. Juventus Debaya picked up a bunch of points in that game, as did Tung Tung Sahur. I think Team KZito will now drop out of those spots. Maybe Reza have got enough to put themselves in the hunt. I think they do have a chance going into that final game of the day. But all in all, this is nice. I like going into the final map of the day having maybe 3-4 teams whose positions are still up for grabs.
But it means if you go down early in this final game, you are going to be in real trouble and not going to have the opportunity to qualify. And right now, it is really looking tight. I just can't wait to get into the leaderboards, honestly. I got to say, all the teams that needed points, though, seem to be able to deliver. They managed to get at least a couple apiece. Tung Tung Sahur, they're definitely the ones who stood out in that game, defending against, what, 2-3 crashes? Sure, they weren't able to get the win in the end, but 55 Esports were just so dominant in taking control when phase 8 came. It looks really unlikely that Tung Tung Sahur were going to be able to make anything out of it.
Yeah, look, they got a lot of kills. They played the position well, but 55 being proactive got themselves the win that they deserved. 14 points for Tung Tung Sahur, though. That'll put them up inside the 50s, which is essentially enough at this point in time. AKA picked up 7, so they're still in the hunt. Silent Fury, I don't think they're in it with their 5 points. Jolo's the same with 2. Juventus Debaya only got 1 point, putting them really at risk. But Chunks, let's look at the overall leaderboard, because that's what really matters.
Yeah, I think that Dot should just about be holding on to first place, which they do. There's a 5-point gap between them and 55. Now, remember, 55 Esports, Mirror, and potentially Dangerous are all qualified. We would usually be saying, hey, it's the top 4 that are going to qualify, but in this situation, it moves that qualification spot down. So there is still opportunities for teams to make that jump when you look at just how close it is from 5th place all the way down to, 10th place at this point. A lot of room for movement in this final game. I would be confident to say that Dots are pretty much locked in. They shouldn't have to worry. Tung Tung Sahur, they're still on the edge of it though.
Chunks, the way I look at it, Team KZito were the only team that are going to fall, that have the chance of falling out. It's KZito, Juventus Debaya, AKA, and Rezav in a straight shootout for that final qualification spot. Maybe Jolos with a big win can put themselves into contention, but they need a win, and they've not shown their ability to do that at all so far over the course of the last 2 days. But we're going to, for the very final time, throw it to a quick break. When we come back, it is Erangel for the last Players Cup map of the year. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Do not go anywhere.
A new collaboration, movable death boxes, and some changes to Miramar. All this and more as we dive into the update 37.2 patch report. First up, the desert's about to heat up again with a visit from the iconic artist G-Dragon. You'll be able to find an emote stage on the starting island. Special G-Dragon map decor such as a decked out gas station and fan room, and other themed visuals such as planes, blue chip towers, and care packages. And be sure to head over to the G-Dragon truck stop to immerse yourself in the recreated Power music video set. Next up, we're improving the way you interact with some of the objects around the map. You'll now be able to reposition death boxes to get them to a safer location before looting, or use them to lure unsuspecting loot goblins to their demise. Doors can now be opened inward as well as outward, and all those gas tanks you've been wanting to shoot for years will now explode when you do so, leaving behind a large cloud of smoke to cover your movements. More details on where you can see these changes in the patch notes. And speaking of Miramar, the Minas Generalis area has gotten an overhaul this update as well. We've streamlined building layouts for more efficient looting, added more item spawn locations, simplified the terrain and structures, and balanced out the engagements between high and low ground in the area. There's also a new Survivor Pass, the return of Survivors Left Behind and Hungers Left Behind, some updates to Team Deathmatch and Intense Battle Royale, and more. So check out the patch notes for full details. Update 37.2 is here, so drop into Miramar, stack those death boxes high, and kick back with some G-Dragon hits. We'll see you on the battlegrounds.
And for the final time, we are here on Erangel, the final game of the final Players Cup here in the PUBG Players Tour. My name is Chunks. I'm joined again by Gibson. And wow, it has gone so quickly this week. Not only this week, but the entire tour. It has been an amazing event to be involved with. And honestly, the teams have not disappointed over the past few months.
Yeah, the first Players Cup of the year was played on the 21st of March, which would be exactly 6 months by the time we get to the weekend. But it's been, as I said, a pleasure. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's the last map you and I are going to cast together this year, potentially. So let's just enjoy it, folks at home. And you know what? I want to show some love to the ever-presence in chat all year round as well. We see you. We know you're there. You've turned up every single night to show love to these players. And we have a hot drop for the final time at Severny. And although my tone is sad, this is a huge hot drop because Rezav have a chance to qualify. If they get 4 points here in the early stages, you have no idea how much that's going to boost their chances of getting into the LCQs. And well, there's one of them.
These are very important points that Rezav are picking up right now. They are not far off of the qualification spots, but really, they need to clean this one up effectively. They cannot risk losing this early on. Tatsumi is close. Rezav need to isolate this player, but I imagine Kira is going to try and get up a little bit higher, cover the cross, the circle. It's not far from them. It's gone up to the northeast, and you got to remember, teams like AKA, they're going to be inside center circle right now. They're looking good here. Mula Systematica, a team that aren't yet confirmed as qualifying, but are pretty much good for it. They're inside of the zone as well. But then we've got a lot of teams like Gementos, who are a very long way away from safety and from the circle.
Yeah, well, look at them. They're down by Primo. They're going to have to find a way in. Most likely in Primo, you will find an e-pickup if you desperately need it. So they'll be hoping that they find the luck that they need to get that as they work their way inside the circle. I feel like this is going to be won by the team that gets that little bit of luck, right? I know you make your luck, but sometimes it's got to be gifted as well. But Rezav, they've got 1 kill. They need to be aggressive here because you can afford to lose a player or two because the recall system is here and you've got a good pathway into the circle. The question is how much fight is left in 4 HP because they're going to do it. And just as I asked the question, Giancarlo gets that knock on the Nubski.
That is a rough one for Rezav right now. Now, 4 happy men's. I'm not going to say it's impossible for them, but they need a really strong game to be able to qualify. Currently, 15 points off of the qualification spot. So they need to close that and then make up for any points that teams ahead of them are able to get. That nade, it was almost good onto Beleda, but it's not enough to finish the job. As he hits the heel, both these teams being so tetchy in how they approach this fight. Tatsumi has not moved, has just held on to that position. No vest, no helmet, but Kira finally going to be there to provide support as RNZ 55 Esports decide to try and send it into this compound. There's only going to be 1 left up for Rack 4 in this building, so he needs to try and hit this med quickly. It's not quick enough. Psycho gets the knock.
Yeah, Bryken is going to get dropped here. We turn our attention back up. Rezav back to a 4. Rushing now to get these med kits and first aids off as they continue this battle. 2 members of 4 happy men's on the north side of Severny. Giancarlo a little bit closer to the tip of the pizza, way down towards the south. He tries to catch out any Rezav players that might just attempt to cross the road. So Giancarlo is an opportunity to play spoiler for this team.
Rezav probably kicking themselves for being split across this road right now. Beleda anchoring, but he's not going to be able to cross over safely to support. It is not worth the risk because Giancarlo is just watching over from church, covering the windows, trying to spot out any hint of movement. And you got to wonder for these teams, sure, it's all well and good playing it slow. You could have had really good priority into the zone as OMG getting a nice little 2K. Priesty will be able to flush both of them out.
Yeah, Croxy, he should bleed out. It looks like Vaker will go for the res, and I think he's got there, but OMG going to send it now inside Yaz. Get across the road. You do not let him get back up on his feet. Do not let him have a chance to get back in the fight, but the timing just isn't quite there. He is back inside the fight, but the rest of OMG, they're going to arrive. They're going to peek up over. Abrik's going to pop a first aid, but Vaker will get that knock, and he's going to flush it out instantly. Rice will try to get one of his own. He'll get that knock as well. Cruxy, last player alive. He's going to pick out once more. Catches Race, but Race will win the fight, and You feel like Chunksy wasn't ready. He peeked, but he didn't fire. And at that point in time, Raced was reloading. He was dead to rights, but he couldn't get the kill. But I guess DTMF, thank you guys so much for taking part over the course of last night and tonight. Might not have ended in how you liked qualifying for LCQ. However, it was fun to cast you guys for the last Player Cup of the year. Now wish you nothing but success for what's left in 2025.
Did he know this is third person? Because he was in first person that entire fight. That's the only reason I can think that he actually went for that peak. Let's forget about that for the time being, because Nubsky just managed to open up onto 4 HP. This is a big opening knock for them. They're going to push through, make sure they confirm the flush. That's going to be a second point now on the board for Team Razav, which of course leaves 4 HP with only 2 players left up. Now, they could absolutely try and play spoiler, because there is going to be a res beacon inside of this, but you can see on your screens right now, AKA have moved in. They've paid attention to the kill feed. They've now heard the shots. They know that these are 2 teams that are potentially going to cause them threats. So we've got 3 teams on the cusp of qualification, all playing for Severny, and Giancarlo nearly goes down.
Yeah, Kira gets the knock on to Beleda, and Kira's position has been revealed as Kevson will peek across. 23 damage found, but Chunks, this is not a case of them of AKA trying to deal with a threat. This is a case of AKA saying, Razav, your run ends here. Even if Razav win the battle, AKA no, you deal with Razav here and now. You give yourself a chance. Kevson gets the knock, and at this point in time, Razav are now about to go ahead of AKA in the race for qualification. Giancarlo, last player alive inside of glass, will move up to the second floor, will then move up to the roof. He's being hunted down. Nubsky is low, but AKA, they're going to find that kill on the Danshin, on the Beleda, and that's AKA eking out a spot into the lead once more. Now remember, there is a recall system here, but look at how AKA have set the trap around Severny.
This is so smart. I thought AKA were just going to wait this out, let Razav go for that recall, then get a kill onto it. But no, they are playing aggressively now. Razav equally as aggressive, trying to move upstairs as Pippa was able to take out Tony, still scrapping for that same compound. 4 happy men's. Giancarlo up on the roof. He's taken out, and that's going to be 4 HP, denied their opportunity to compete in the next round. But Razav, they've got a lot bigger fish to fry, because AKA are now starting to punish them. They are getting absolutely peppered, and they are still outside of the qualification spot.
Yeah, but they're level. They're level. The only thing holding AKA out of the qualification spots right now is placement points, because they're level with Team KZito on 40 points, and maybe more to come. 55 driving past, great headshot by Gabri. Isn't going to be able to find the follow-up that he needs, though, to get the kill, as he'll go for that res on the other side. Coyote will find a ton of damage onto Kevs, and remember, these 2 teams can battle it out. There's a recall system here for the loser, but Coyote's nade is perfect. It gets the knock onto Kevson, and now it's Nubsky, last player alive for Razav. He's going to spot out one, gets the knock onto Nanu, and switches over to the Panzerfaust. 2 members of AKA flooding across. He's going to get the Panzer out, but as you can see, the wall will not give him the angle just yet. Coyote with the ducky feet, moving on over, but will those feet be running out of the lobby? Chunks is yet to be found, but AKA, they're now in the qualification spots. They're on 42 points.
Nade. Does he know where he is? Seems like he has an idea, just trying to land it through that doorway. Nubsky finds another, but look at this. Dan Shin, he just flushed himself out. That's 4 points now on the board for Team Razab. They have overtaken AKA. But never mind, actually, because AKA, they've already got themselves the kill points. Yep. It is so close right now. Nanu covering the back. Coyote. Oh, that BZ nade is going to cause some real problems for Nubsky right now. He's still got the Panzer in hand. He is waiting for the flush, but Falcon has the crossfire. Nubsky just now forced into the corner as AKA surrounded, waiting to pounce, not giving anything away. The footsteps will come through. Flashbang prepped, but I think they have Nubsky's number. The nade getting ready to connect. it's going to be able to find the knock, but Nanu first finds the kill. That's Team Razav down in 14th position, out of qualification, not making it through to the next round. And I do have to say credit to Razav, because they are a team that we have seen really struggle at the start of the tour, but they have improved so much, and to be in contention to qualify is a real achievement for them.
What an awesome job by AKA, though. Like, reading the kill feed, knowing who was fighting who, knowing that if you deal with Razav, all you got to do is look forward from this point on. Like, AKA do not need to look over their shoulder anymore while they're still alive. All they've got to focus on is picking up kills. They're in the qualification spots. They're going to get the recall back. They're going to get everybody on their feet, and they will be able to work their way into the circle, as they've got a nice clear path into the zone. Now, Mira are holding that choke point between the Stalber Hill and the Yaz over by Nolene, and having just lost Valiant, Dots no. Like, Dots, he's put the blue chip inside. He doesn't want Valiant back in, but this is the thing. They know that you cannot get past that choke point, so they've rotated around. They're going to take the bridge in towards Yaz instead, as the C4 from Jolos didn't quite go to plan again, but Rack 4, they're getting hunted down. Jolos will get that knock, and it leaves Delarays as the last player standing. Prone in the shack with a shotgun. He's eliminated. Now, Jolos were on 24 points going into this game. Realistically, they need at least a 12-kill win to get a chance of qualifying. They've got a couple of kills, and they've got Yaz Yellows. The problem with Yaz Yellows, Chunks, is getting out of there. Like, your vehicle tires are going to get popped. It's like, getting into Yaz Yellows is fine. Getting out is usually a problem.
Just gotta pray for the circle, I guess. That's really their best hope right now. Tung Tung Sahort, they're a squad who, again, we think that they're probably safe. I would be surprised. I don't think it's mathematically possible for them to get knocked out right now, with Mula Systematica providing that little bit of a buffer below them. But we saw Loki looking up over towards that Hanging Garden compound, which is where Mula Systematica currently are. OMG, Team Casito, they're close to each other. Takamura has the Orm, and remember, Team Casito, they are just on that cutoff as it currently stands.
Yeah, no points on the board for them just yet, but in a position to build. This is not a game where they are going to explode from the early stages. This is a game where they'll set their foundations. They'll make sure it's solid. They're in a good position in the circle, and they'll want to build in towards those placement points. Because remember, placement points are the tiebreaker, and they've got more than AKA. The problem is they don't have more than Juventus. So keep an eye on what happens between Juventus and AKA, as Juventus are playing over by Mansion at this point in time. Shinto will spot out Mixtall, and he's going to go, Mixtall, you're going the wrong way. And Mixtall going this way tells me he has to have a blue chip, maybe. Only reason I can imagine you going back to school.
I mean, it's the only reason that makes sense, right? The rest of the squad, they've got control of a strong position inside the center of the circle. So yeah, he's just going up to Ros Hill. He's going to go for the recall, bring his teammate back in. And hey, even if his teammate doesn't survive, is at least going to provide a little bit of info on where every squad is going to be. I think the question now is how many teams commit onto Yaz, because I think Team Casito, yeah, they committed onto Yasnaya early, which I wouldn't usually recommend, but I think the area of Yasnaya that they've been able to grab is one that is able to be rotated out of, as Juventus, a team that are on the cusp of qualification as it stands, are now running into Team Mirror, a squad that have already qualified and are just playing for pride and prizes. Fano finds the knock onto Victor, but it's DeCarlos taken down now by Haven, and this is not what Juventus wanted. They now only have 2 players left up. They are retreating, trying to get over to cover, and ultimately Juventus, if they go down, they are going to be anxiously watching to see how the teams below them perform, and with AKA and Juventus tied, that will put AKA ahead of them.
Yeah, this is tough. Juventus are in a really bad spot now. 2 players left alive, and they will need the salvage game of all salvage games to get in there. Remember,
too.
Yeah, but I think they've divided. I think they've literally gone and divided their resources with the plan on one of them getting inside the top 4. Remember, the placement points distribution is a little bit different. It's 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So getting into second place, getting into third place is either 5 or 4 points, which could be the difference between qualification and elimination. Brandy's, he's going to rotate a little bit further south. I don't think he's got the blue chip, so I'm not sure. I've no real idea to think that he'd be going potentially to Mansion to get it. I think the main thing is just getting a fresh vehicle and moving into the circle. Mixtall has been dealt with. He went back, got his teammate, and this is the thing. How often do you see a team go to the recall system in the blue, and then when they're coming back from the blue, the player who brought the teammate back dies? It happens way too frequently, and it's then you're going, well, it was that worth it? The risk is always worth it, but now you've lost that loot. You're going to bring a player back. They're not going to have as much in the back pocket as you'd like. And Mixtall's a really good player.
Certainly is. But you know what? It's a really good circle as well. We're going over to Yasnaya. By the looks of things, sure, there's still those ridges, those dips down on the southeast that teams are going to be playing, but what a way to wrap things up here over in Yasnaya. Blood has managed to make it into the circle, so I wouldn't be surprised if Brandy now starts to move in as well to try and hold the same position, but this is one of those games where it could go any which way. Team Casito, they've realized they've made the right call. Now is the opportunity for them to just try and hold out Teams Juventus, though. Brandy's, he's trying to group up with his teammate, but it looks like Mirror heading straight in the same direction. Will manage to avoid Bloods. They go a bit more central into Yasnaya, so providing a little bit of respite. And honestly, for Juventus, that could mean that they are now safe from the northern side. So this is them getting close to placement points.
Yeah, not far away at all as PD, they spot out Jolos. Remember, Jolos only have 2 players up now, having lost Mixtall, bringing back his teammate. That'll be another couple of tabs, and here comes Glock as PD will look to take away and wrestle away Yaz Yellow's. Glock, though, he's going to fall, but Nidavon will get that kill confirmed as Bran will peek on out. That's Team KZito, by the way, picking up the extra points. Remember, I said this was all about strong foundations for them as they were trying to get as many points out of this game as they can. The circle still encompassing pretty much all of Yaz, which is a quarter of what is left inside of Phase 4. But keep your eyes on Jolos. Remember, they need a win here if they want to qualify. But that win looks like it's getting further and further away as they lose Zello. It is all down to the last player standing. Chunks, he's going to throw a great nade as Earn, but he's still got to deal with 2 potentially dangerous players.
And did get taken low by a frag from PD. That BZ nade is nicely placed. Should provide him a little bit of time to find the first aid. Sorry, it's a double BZ by the looks of things, so a lot of damage could be found onto Nitavon. Not to be, though, as Tung Tung Sahur, they've made a crash of their own. They're moving into AKA. Remember, these are both teams that are on the edge of qualification. Tung Tung Sahur a little bit more secure in their current position. Will throw down the smokes, get ready to go for the res, and honestly, he's got a Panzer. Sorry, 2 Panzers in the hands of Tung Tung Sahur, so this could be a big game for them. If they can deny AKA qualification, it would be even bigger. Underhand nade comes out expecting to get pushed. That's exactly what will happen, but Kaka is able to find the knock, flushes it out with that underhand that he already threw, tried to find the flick onto Falcon, but it's not to be.
Bigger fight for AKA than Tung Tung Sahur. 6 kills for AKA now, puts them on to 44 points, which is 3 points clear of Team KZito with 2 players left alive. Faraz is down. Remember, the first knock is a 2-minute bleed. So Necro or Loki, they don't need to be in a rush to go for the res just yet, but I think they want to deal with the 2 AKA players first. Necro, doing some looting downstairs, will switch over to the Micro Uzi because of how much more of an impact it can have in close range engagements. As Team KZito, remember, 1 kill for them. They're on 41 points. They're not in the qualification points just yet. Nanu, he's going to get 1. The low shotgun of Loki can't get it done. The peek from Necro with the Micro Uzi is enough. But here comes the final fight. Falcon running up the stairs. Necro going for the res. A couple more seconds. Necro closes that door. This is AKA potentially trying to secure qualification. The underhand stun grenade and the underhand nade. He steps on top of it, but he doesn't fall. Necro, he is still in the fight. This is so big for both of these teams. Another peak, another run, aka fall. Tung Tung Sahur get the win in that battle, and now Team KZito know what they need to do.
As if on cue, the team just ahead of them start picking up some points, their own Bloods. He's been crashed. Brandy's down. He's in a 1 versus 1 situation. The knocks have come through onto SF, and it looks like Bloods is going to prioritize the res for the time being. No, not to be. He's just picked up a nade off his teammate. If this is placed well enough, it could be the end of SF. It gets a re-knock over onto Tygon. But look at this. OMG, they're starting to third party as well. Only one player left up. It's Bad Boy, but the BZ nade is going to be a little bit short. Molotovs will come closer. It's not going to be enough to get the kill. That's Dots eliminated by a mortar. What the hell is going on here? Dygod will be flushed out. That's a point stolen away from Gementos right now as SF back up to a 2-man. Blood tries to peek out, looking to try and find something through the smoke, but they are just too thick. He decides to send it. It's a high-risk play, but the reward would be all worth it. Pushing through, goes for the hip fire, takes down one, follows it with a second. There's only going to be one player left up now from SF. He's pinned down behind the vehicle. That's the end of Silent Fury. Out in ninth, and Juventus now trying to grow that lead. Somehow Blood still standing, but he's got to get back over to cover and before making it into the zone.
Juventus are now 5 points off qualification with just 2 players left alive, as Yaz is still a massive piece of the circle. Fana from Mira will get that knock on the Brandies, but you know what? Fana does not pick favorites. He'll get the knock on to Saitam as well, as he's dishing out misery to both these teams. I think Brandies might just see himself fall to the blue, and he does, leaving Blood as the last man up for Juventus. A lot of work to do for a solo player to get 4 or 5 more points as the circle shifts for Team KZito. This is excellent for them. This is awesome for them, but they are going to have so much traffic coming their way. They're currently split 2 in one app, 1 in another, 1 in the third. They might just want to group everybody up into one chunks because you have a lot of teams that are going to be heading this way.
Blood went down to the blue. Gementus not looking good right now, but all eyes falling onto Team KZito. They just need those extra points. They need to confirm themselves safety. And we all know what caster math is like. I'm not even going to attempt to do the calculations, but they've got 3 kills on the board. That's 43 overall. Team KZito starting to regroup. They want to take the wall, take the same apartment building, or maybe hop on that mortar, try and punish those teams out in the open. That appears to be exactly what's going on. They've identified the dip that Mula Systematicas are playing. The mortar, is it going to land? He's just waiting before firing off the second, just trying to do any damage that he can. And Mula Systematicas, look at this. They are splitting out because that would have been right on the money. Are they expecting the second, though?
Explosion. They weren't. The explosion is going to take down Sonics. And now that leaves just 2 players up for Mula Systematica. More damage being dealt. The Sonics will drop to 1 HP, but KX is Johnny on the spot. But here is the 3rd time's the charm mortar. It's going to hit, but it's short. You don't get KX, you don't get Sonics. But here comes the push from OMG. They're looking to deal with Mula Systematica. They're tossing out the smoke. They want to take this dip away as well, as they're putting all the pressure in. But Vixen will get not just 1, but 2 of them. And here come PD. They're going to start tossing utility over as well. They've left the Yaz Yellows, and they're playing for this dip of doom. This could be a really big play for PD as they look to climb that leaderboard even more. They've already qualified at this point. Look at that. Race's knock. Nade will get a knock onto KX, and he's flushed out.
The Systematica now down to 2 players left up. Race has the read on where one of them is. The BZ nade will come through. Should force Race off of his vehicle. He's going to be getting shot from the side. The BZ nade isn't going to be able to finish off the job because he's got a first aid kit. I think Sonics realizes this. Goes to the peak. Will be able to finish off OMG now. In the kill feed, by the way, you can see Mira and Team KZito both getting kills on the board. That's Tung Tung Sahur out of the game, but honestly, they're qualified. They are confident in their position. All eyes still falling on Team KZito. Sorry, Tung Tung Sahur still have Loki up.
Yeah, Loki's still alive, but look, their job's done. They're qualified. They are in. Circle shift is the good old-fashioned Yaz Fields circle. Did you see all that work from the likes of PD to try to take the dip away from... Bran?
No.
Bran?
Third-person nades. They're just a little bit different, aren't they?
Yeah, he has 4 kills, though. I think that AKA... Now, again, this is caster math, so don't take it as gospel. I think AKA got 6 kills, which put them on to 44. Team KZito have got 4 kills. They're on 44, and they hold the tiebreaker with placement points. So I think Team KZito are in. The placement points on top of it, they've got 1 now for being in 6th. So I guess, much like the very, very first Player Cup of the year, the final one of the year as well is going to come down to Team KZito sneaking in on the very last map of the day.
Team Mirror trying to sneak through the smokes. Will get lit up by Team Casito as Bran looks in their direction, but Tony will take down Bran. Zig from Mula Systematica takes down Fakes in as Mirror now down to 3-man. Not inside the circle. I really do have to wonder what exactly they're going to try and play unless they try and push and take the dip from Mula Systematica. The BZ nade from Zig is way short of Team Mirror, so not going to be able to find any damage out of that one. They've just used 2 BZ nades on that as well. That's a real shame, as those things can be so useful going into the end game. Team Mirror, though, they're prepping themselves some frags, hoping to have a bit more luck with it. A double nade goes out, but again, just a little bit too short, as LFP, relying on the smoke, does end up throwing out a bit of util, and now it's starting to connect.
Bunny hopping those nades up in, they're dropping and they're bouncing and they're spreading, but they're not far enough. Sonic's nade was good though. Fana's trade back the other way. The blue zone's at his back. He's got to get on the move as the jammer pack kept him in the fight for just a few extra seconds. He sprays the Sonics, but now Sonics is going to go for the res on the Zig. PD, if you know what's good for you, will push that way. Team KZito getting held by Kerak as they start to move in from the blue. Gabri will get a knock, leaving Robert as the last man up. He'll step on in. Kerak completely oblivious to his position. He gets the knock onto 1, but Robert gets into the smoke. Team KZito definitely secure now inside the LCQs. Nade tossed over inside the smoke, but it goes a little bit too far away. It's a 3v1 v 2v1 to finish off the night, as PD have 11 kills now, by the way, as Robert gets a great knock on to Tony.
I really like this from Robert. He knows that he's probably on the edge of qualification, just playing for every single point that he can. Managed to get himself a knock, couldn't confirm the flush, but Tony is bleeding out quick. It looks like Nightavon will go over for the res as Gabri being pressured by the BZ nade. Karak takes down Nightavon, but steals away the kill onto Tony. And I know you're confident in your math, Gibson, but I sure ain't. And if I was Robert, I wouldn't be taking any chances. He is going to play like his life depends on it. He wants to steal every kill that he can, and right now Mula Systematica's being the team with the most players up at 2. He's certainly looking to try and find some insta-kills. Karak is taking so many shots through the smoke, finds the damage, but he can't get the knock.
Trust the Gibson math, Chunks, and the Gibson math tells me 2 things. 55 have won the overall cup, and Team KZito are safely in. They might even pass out Mula Systematica if things keep going the way now. Mula Systematica have 5 kills of their own, so I think Team KZito need another couple of points if they want to do that. But at this point in time, Robert is going to crawl his way in. Robert, you might have to go day 1 of PUBG here. You might have to drop that backpack because it is going to reveal your position. Remember, in third person, Gabri will have an even better view. Zig will step his way up. He takes 88 damage off the back of that nade. A second one is going to be thrown this way as they will look to deal with him as he makes his way on in. But problem for Gabri is the fact that Sonics has crossed, but the nade is great. Now Zig's on the move. Now here's the thing, P90 in your hand, P90 at the ready. You know where Gabri is. Gabri is stunned. He's got no clue. His position's revealed. Robert picks up another point, by the way, as Zig will peek his position, and Zig will wipe out one more. 6 kills from Mula Systematica. It's 55 against Mula for the win at the end of the day, and it's a long-range battle. Both players know where each other is. Chunks, just keep ego peeking, and the winner is 55 as they win the cup.
Wow, they won the final game. they were close up at the top end of things. 7 kills. Was it enough to get the win? We'll see how many points Dots were able to get out of that one. But either way, they were already confirmed. The real question now comes to which teams qualified and which did not. Now, I'd be confident to say that Dots, Tung Sahur, Mula Systematicas are up there. But honestly, with my math, I ain't saying anything about anyone below it.
55 first, Dots second, Mira third. You heard it from me, Chunks. Tung Sahura, I think, may have just been passed out by Mula Systematica. Team KZ will be right behind them. PD up there as well as they got into the top 4. Or they got into the top 4 at the end of that game. But what a game it was to finish off. Like, you look at it, Razav went for the hot drop. They did a great job, but it was too slow. The timing allowed AKA to wrap the position and get the close in, and AKA dealt with them. That opened up the hunt for AKA as they were chasing down all the teams ahead of them. Momentarily, they did hold a position inside the top 4 as far as qualification is concerned, but then they fell in this battle with Tung Sahur, who also knew by getting those kills they would secure their spot inside the top 4. Chunks, that was just a brilliant game. Remember what I said at the very start. Team KZito were building the foundations for a good, long placement point game, and that's exactly what they got.
And the position as well allowed them to pick up a decent number of kills to go with it. But we're now at the end of all of the Players' Cups. This is the last one, and the road to the Masters West starts now. The last chance qualifiers will take place September 27th and 28th. Those are the results from this game, but we need to find out the total leaderboard to figure out which teams are going to be taking part.
Yeah, that's the most important number now, the total leaderboard. Like I said, though, I expect Team KZito to sneak in on the very last map of the very last day, the exact same way they did in prior years. Dots, Mula Systematica, Tung Sahur, and Team KZito, they take the spots because obviously 55, Team Mira, and PD have already got their spot in. But Chunks, I don't know about you, but I want to say a massive thank you to every single one of these teams. Some of them we're seeing for the first time inside the Players' Cup on the very last one. Some of them have kept us company all year round. Like Mira, potentially dangerous. They've been there since day one, as have Team KZito. It's been a pleasure. It really has, casting all of these teams all year round. And you know what? I think if they stick together, we could see some real growth like Team Mira showed this year.
Absolutely. We've already seen it from a lot of these squads, but the most important thing for the teams that have already qualified is going to be the prize pool. It's 55 Esports who take first place. Will be taking home $400, and Dots on, I believe, their first attempt of taking part in the Players' Cup. Might be their second, taking home $300. Team Mirror, this is like the lowest prize pool placement we've seen them have, but still taking home $200. And for the first time, Mula Systematica getting up into the prize pool, taking home $100 themselves.
Yeah, 2 of those teams who played last week qualifying this week in Dots and Mula Systematica, which is nice to see. Here is a list of all of the teams that will be playing in the Masters West America's Last Chance. KZito, Tung Sahur, Muzi, and Dots will join Fate, PD, Mira, and Bestia as the teams that qualified through this week's Cups. All the other 8 teams in the top row, they qualify based on their Masters performance. The finals, of course, of the Last Chance will be on September 27th and 28th. And then Masters West between Europe and the Americas will take place on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of October, where I'm hoping all the viewers here will be here to support the Americans in their battle. By the Americans, I mean all of America, North and South, in their battle against EMEA. But before we wrap up, I think let's look at some individual team and player stats. It's always nice to see those as things finish up, Chunks. And looking at, first off, it'll be the total kill count. Even though Mira didn't win the event, they're always up there with the kills.
Yeah, but look at how close it was. 55 and Dots, both with 49 kills apiece. It shows just how aggressive all those teams up at the top end of things are, and those stats are reflected over in the damage as well, but it's actually potentially dangerous who farm the most damage. And Mula Systematica, playing a very placement-heavy game set this week, have been able to consistently get to the end game, and that's where they got a good chunk of their points from. Not to discount the amount of damage and the number of kills, even though they're not in the top 5 for kills, that they were able to get this weekend to confirm their qualification. But in terms of players, it's Fanna that's farming the damage, and Loki that absolutely popped off with the kills, which for a team that we haven't seen much out of before is really, really impressive.
Yeah, Loki, a player that I've seen for a long time inside of scrims, 15 kills, great performance. Peepa and Kerak with 15 each, same for Zyko. You'd assume that all of the Mira players have in and around that 14, 13 kills, because that's just the way they flow. Then on damage, Tony and Glock, they farmed with 3,000 damage each. And then Valley, it's the VSS Demon, the 9mm Maniac, with a 3.1 KD. I'm not going to close off the show, Chunks, because I know that that I will be here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I'll let you do that. But before I hand over to you, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for watching all year round. Like we said, we recognize all the faces in chat. You guys have been here supporting the teams and supporting us all year round. Ricky and Gudo and the rest of the WASDify team for all the work that they put in behind the scenes. They've been a pleasure to work with all year round. And I guess just thank you to all the teams. We've seen so many different teams take part this year. I'll be on the channel on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for PAS. So, Chunks, with that, I'm going to let you close out the show and close out the final Player Cup of the year.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Look, the past 6 months have been amazing. Thank you, Gibson, for being there with me for it. Again, I want to reiterate thank you to everyone behind the scenes, because they do not get enough credit for putting on such an amazing show. They make our lives a whole lot easier. Thank you for everyone who joined us, all the teams that took part. And I guess now we just wait for that last chance qualifier and see which teams are going to represent the Americas in the West Masters. So, for the last time, thank you for joining us for the PUBG Players Cup. It was nice seeing you.